Would you look at that, the best part of my day. Even when we washing out and get a face full of hay, trying to make our way down and you don't want to crash. We all know what it's like dealing with the road rash, but we always get right back up after a good slam. The Can't Kickflip podcast, please enjoy the program.
You know that bank wall, Brian?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that you at the Bear?
Yeah.
I know that view.
That's the highlight of my skateboarding right there, dude. The Bear slides.
The Bear, yeah, if you can make it through that Bear transition, you're doing good in my books.
Dude, I just have so much respect for like the Comet team and the Caliber team and the PDX crew for like always filming sick Bear sessions at Ditch Slap. Like those are some of my favorite clips I've ever seen.
I liked racing the Bear, but I was always feeling like I was just kind of hanging on and like trying to not crash and not like, as far as the ditches go, that I was like trying to session and like hang out at. The Bear wasn't really one of them. I was pretty scared of that spot.
I don't blame you. There's some really cool features. I've been trying to talk Rob into going to Ditch Slap this year. We got to get him out there. He's a slalom dude and a slider, so he'd be right at home.
Yeah, Albuquerque's insane. If you ride a skateboard, you should go to Albuquerque and skate the ditches, basically. It's so much fun.
It looks insane, like huge walls. To me, it'd be like surfing like a big ass wave. Is there like any downhill to it, or is it flat and you just kind of like surf side to side?
There's a lot of downhill for certain ditches. All of them are kind of a little bit more mellow or extreme than the other ones. So there's variety, lots of variety.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
You want steep, you can find. Yeah, I mean, Indian school's like downhill for miles. Yeah. Like if you wanna go downhill, you can skate ditches for longer than you want to.
Yeah, Indian school is it's a sleeper, bro. Like you do not want to underestimate Indian school, even though it's like the standard. Like if you tuck down the straight in the middle of the ditch, you could probably hit like 45, 40.
Yeah, and then slowing down's fun once you're like ripping and you're like, I kind of want to slow down, and then you're like, wait, how do I do that exactly?
How do you do that? That's a good question.
I've tried to do I've had to do like shutdown slides.
Oh my god!
If you do it on a wall, you kind of end up getting like sucked down to the bottom, and it's kind of scary. You try to do them like on the flat bottom, but that can be scary too.
Yeah, man. Like I remember one time I was trying to do like a one-handed toe side drift on the right wall, and I pendied down across into the other wall, and somehow hanged on for dear life. But it was wild.
Good times.
Well, hey everybody! Thanks for joining us today on episode of Can't Kickflip, where we're bringing stories to your couch, work table, and car seat from riders who have found their life a little bit sideways. Today's guest is Brian Peck. If you know Brian, he's a household name, riding for era-esque brands like Comet Skateboards, Paris Trucks, and Sector 9, hailing from the Beast Coast via Connecticut. Some of you may be familiar with a household in Los Angeles called Skate House Media, and the website, which was a staple for all things slide and hill bomb and skate event coverage. Brian paved the way by skating Malibu hills during downhill's golden era with the likes of Matt Kay, Max Dubler, James Kelly, Louis Poloni, Dustin Hampton, and many more, and filmed many of clip for videos for Skate House Media and brands the house partnered up with over the years. Brian, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, guys. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to start things off with a little guest question from the Bruce, who recently had a birthday. We reached out to Nick Ronzani.
Sick. Yeah, happy birthday, Nick. I think I saw that on Facebook. Facebook showed me that, and I sent him a message being like, heck yeah, bro, happy birthday.
Nick wants to ask you, how is Lucy, and why haven't we seen more of her lately?
She's good. She's under my that's my dog, if anyone doesn't know. That's my dog. She's under my desk right now sleeping. I'd make her jump up and do something cute, but she's like dead asleep, so I'll just leave her alone. But yeah, she's doing good.
Nice. What kind of dog is she?
She's like a hound lab mix, kind of a mutt. Mostly hound. She loves sniffing things way more than she should.
Sounds friendly and energetic.
Yeah, she's a good dog. She's my homie.
She surf?
No, body surf.
Oh yeah.
She likes swimming. I've had her like swimming at the beach before, and then waves will like roll in and kind of pick her up, and she doesn't get scared. She likes it.
Hell yeah. So Brian, before we did this podcast, we were kind of chatting about you and your boat. Tell us a little bit about the boat.
The boat's pretty fun. Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I bought this little boat. It's pretty small. It's like 14 foot. I grew up riding on boats. My dad had a couple boats when I was a kid. I grew up by the beach in Connecticut. And then my dad also had like a lake house on like his side of the family. So I grew up on the weekends. We'd go to my pop's lake house and we'd rip around in the boat, and I learned to water ski there. And then grew up by the beach, my main house. So we'd go swimming at the beach. My dad had a big old boat that we'd take out in the ocean too. And so I was living out by the beach here in California, and I was like, man, I think I should get a boat if I can. That'd be sweet. So scored this little boat a couple of years ago, and been going on some missions up and down the coast here. And we got the Channel Islands off the coast right where I'm at in Ventura. And when the weather's good, I got to make sure the weather's good because my boat's small. I'm not trying to get caught in some sketchy conditions. But when the weather's good, I've been able to take it over to the islands and explore out there. There's some really cool just views and nature and landscapes out there. It's pretty unreal.
Dude, living the dream.
That is the dream. Good for you.
Thanks, man.
Do you surf or wakeboard?
I don't honestly, like everyone gets confused because I'll see people at the boat ramp and they're like, oh, if you fishing, what'd you catch? And I was like, I don't fish. And they're like, what do you do out there? I'm like, I just kind of go out and chill. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, what do you mean what? It's great out there. It's nice and quiet. I don't know. I just like going, being on the water, kind of getting away from people. I do surf. I've tried to go on some like surf missions off the boat, but I haven't really scored yet because, again, I usually try to take the boat out when it's the most calm. And so if there's like, heavy swell or a bunch of stuff going on like that, I kind of avoid going out in the ocean with my little boat. But
yeah, how little we talking?
It's 14 feet.
Oh yeah, that is pretty small.
So it's pretty much like a skiff. Yeah, it's like
you get some big swell in California.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to get caught in anything sketchy. So I'm a fair weather boater. I like when it's like calm winds, sun's out, feels like summer. I like to just go out, be on the water, and chill and enjoy it.
Have any close calls yet?
No, thankfully not. I try to be pretty like picky and selective with the days. If it's like iffy, I don't try to push it. Even if it's just like not sunny or like that nice out, it's like I don't want to put in all the effort. Like I got to bring the boat down, got to launch it at the ramp. Once I take it out in the water, then I got to rinse it off and clean it when I get home. So I try to just check the weather, make sure it's going to be like a nice sunny day, and make sure it's going to be worth it.
So you're not going to be one of those guys in the viral videos surfing one of the waves in your boat.
Flipping it, swimming back to shore with like my boat upside down and coolers floating around me. I'm trying to avoid doing that.
Do a kickflip in your boat. No.
Video.
That'd be a gnarly video. All right, well, let's dive in. Let's put on our scuba gear and go for a little swim here down BPEC universe. So, you ready to rip?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So you said you were coming up in Connecticut. Tell us a little bit about downhill and skateboarding in your youth and how you kind of got into it and what kind of drew you to pick downhill skateboarding as like your thing.
All right. Let me try to not get too off track here. I grew up in Connecticut born and raised. I don't know. I've always told people I'm like from the Tony Hawk era of skateboarding. Like I always thought skateboarding was cool when I was a kid, but I wasn't really doing it. Then, Tony Hawk Pro Skater came out when I was, I don't even remember, 11, 12, something like that. And we were talking before how we're all kind of the same age. I'm sure you guys can remember just playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with the homies. That was how I learned all the skateboarding terminology, all the tricks, all that stuff. And then I got like a classic street board when I was 13 or something like that. And I was not good, honestly. Like I was trying to just push around and cruise. And as I'm sure you guys know as well, like rock hard wheels are not that good at doing that. So I was into the skate culture, but it didn't really stick, didn't really click for me. But I have an older brother who's 2 years older than me, and he ended up getting like a longboard. I think he might have borrowed a longboard from one of his friends or something like that. Um, just classic story where it ended up where like my older brother had a longboard at the house one day, and I was just like, oh, what's this thing about? And just went pushing up and down the street cruising, and I was like, oh man, that feeling of, you jump on it or you just take one or two pushes and all of a sudden you're just like levitating, just floating down the street. I was like, oh man, I could get into this. I like the feeling of this. So I definitely gotta tip my hat to my older brother with that one. He was the real influence, kind of showed me that there's bigger boards, big soft wheels that just make cruising really fun. And then pretty early on too, I remember watching the Dogtown and Z Boys documentary when that came out, and just the whole emphasis on those guys, not like no one was doing tricks yet. Like even when I was young, I liked watching street videos, but the whole like super technical, kickflip into a grind, kickflip out, that stuff always like I respected the technicality, but I was never like, I want to do that. It never really like spoke to me. I just wanted to kind of cruise. So I remember watching Dogtown and Z Boys, and they were just talking about the emphasis on style, how you ride is everything. No one's going to want to watch what you're doing, even if it's cool, if you don't look good while you're doing it. And so I remember just watching those clips of the guys skating the banks in the California schoolyards. I was like, man, how do I get to terrain like that? Early on, I was just cruising longboards on flat streets, and then you see the clips of them getting all low, going up and down the banks, talking about how important style was. And I was like, this is for me. This is the kind of skating, this is the kind of riding I want to do. I just want to be styly and cruising and going fast.
So you kind of were you had like a goal in mind when you kind of started. Like it wasn't just like I'm going to do this for fun until it's not fun anymore. You actually wanted to like pursue style.
Yeah, and I was never into like the tricks. Like I was saying, I was never like, man, I need to learn how to ollie, then I need to learn how to kickflip, then I need to learn all these tricks. For whatever reason, that never really spoke to me. Like I said, I like watching. I had friends who skated street who were like super technical. I loved watching them skate. I thought that was super cool. But there's just something about, I think it was just the movement, the motion, just that effortless glide of cruising on a longboard is what really spoke to me and was what really got me hooked early on.
And how did you kind of like start learning slides and bombing hills?
All right. Yeah. So Connecticut's pretty flat. We don't have big hills. We have a couple, like, if the hills are steep, they're short. We never had long hills. So early on, it was really just about trying to find pretty mellow hills. Like early on, it was even like pre-slide gloves, right? So me and my friends, we were just trying to get, Sector 9 longboards just to go cruising around town. We weren't worried about, ripping slides or going as fast as possible. I really liked finding like fresh pavement early on. That was my thing. We had like really nice blacktop in Connecticut. And I was like, man, if I can just find like a long, mellow cruise with just that like brand new black asphalt, I really like that feeling.
Just gliding and not having to push.
Exactly. And just like leaning into carves back when the wheels still weren't super great and grippy, but you knew with that asphalt, it was just going to grip. It wasn't going to like slide out or chuck you. Early on, it was really just about real early on, it was just kind of getting around town for me too, like having a board before I was old enough to drive and having friends with boards too. We just go push around town and kind of get around town after school. That was super cool. The freedom you start to feel when you're like exploring your hometown. Yeah, it was just I don't know. I just think of it as like real simple, just basic longboarding back then. There weren't even really like there wasn't like downhill or all these different disciplines. It's kind of just like, yeah, bro, we're going longboarding, we're going cruising. That's what I was into. Then after a couple years of doing that, there's a pretty decent like slalom scene locally in like New England with these older guys in the 2000s who were trying to do like this resurgence of slalom, and they were trying to get sort of the next generation into it. They were looking for young guys who were into skating to get hooked on slalom. And I'm gonna start like name dropping guys, the pretty niche dudes you guys probably never heard of, but there's this local guy, Joe Iacovelli in Connecticut, who he helped organize a slalom race back in the 2000s, and he ended up recruiting like a couple older guys from my hometown who were also into longboarding, and then through them, basically we all started getting into like slalom, going to slalom races. That was sort of the first like sort of like longboarding like event get together, if you will, that I started checking out when I was like 14, 15, I think.
That's cool. That's like the natural progression, I would say. After like gripping around and just trying to, rip on good grippy pavement, it seems like the first step would be to try to race around some cones.
Exactly. It was like, all right, how grippy can we make this? How hard can we carve and just keep gripping? Yeah, so that was kind of the vibe for a couple years. I feel like that was when ABEC 11 was kind of first coming out with like quality urethane too. It was still like there weren't many options as far as like good gear, good wheels, and stuff like that. And then yeah, Chapit started dropping the green wheels, the early ABEC wheels that a lot of the slalom guys loved, and they helped make stuff like that possible. I mean, there was still what was it? There was like 3DM before it was 3DM. It was Turner. Yeah, Turner was making slalom wheels back then. The gear was just super limited at the time, which is one of the cool things when I look at how far things have come. Like just the options in gear, high quality gear these days is really sweet.
Oh yeah, a lot has changed since the early 2000s for sure.
Oh yeah. The two sort of paths you'd go down, like one of the things I was doing was slalom, which is basically all grip, trying to, hug the cones, go as fast as you can, gripping. But then also like tech slide, trick slide was also kind of the cool thing at the time too, setting up a big pool board with like the hardest, slipperiest wheels you can put on there, and like
Yeah.
there's no grip at all. You're not expecting any grip. You're just spinning around in circles going down the hill. So those were sort of the two disciplines early on that I had fun with. It was either like I'm taking my slalom board and I'm trying to grip as hard as possible, or like let's throw the knee pads on and the slide gloves and just go spin around doing 360s down the hill.
Was hard wheel sliding kind of like a predecessor to soft wheel freeride?
For sure, yeah. Like I guess that's sort of the point I was making, is like before I ever thought I would take out like my downhill board with soft wheels and intentionally go slide it. Like that wasn't a thing till like years later for me. Before that, it was like you have one setup, your like slide board, where the whole point is like you're never gripping, or I had my slalom board, and there was sort of no in between. Like sliding the soft wheels intentionally it was hard then. I didn't know how to do it. It was super intimidating. I feel like even then the lips were super sharp, and so it was like if you were slaloming and you lost traction, it would go sideways and then grip up and get the like or like we didn't really have the like soft wheels that would grip when you want, but then if you wanted to poke them out, we figured out how to shape the lips, or this urethane's like it grips and it slides, it can do both. Like the sliding soft wheels was like pretty unpredictable and difficult early on, at least in my opinion.
So what kind of inspired you to start doing like tech slide? Where did that come from?
I think it was there was like a couple older guys in my hometown. The same dudes who got me into slalom were also into tech slide was a thing. Yeah, so like the gravity video Flow was out, and like Sergio Yupi was already like doing his thing.
Yeah.
And there wasn't much media. Like there wasn't media of dudes, speedboarding or doing downhill or free ride. That wasn't really a thing, but you could watch like Sergio doing these like stand-up 360s down like pretty gnarly hills. And like I was saying, the like technical street stuff never really spoke to me, but the first time I watched clips of Sergio, I was just like, what is this? Like, I didn't even know you could be doing like nose blunt slides or blunt slides like downhill. Like there's no ledge or like I've seen street dudes do that on like corners of things, but I didn't realize you could just do that down a hill going Mach speed, like what even is this?
Yeah, man. It's like it's crazy how that style of skating just stayed under the radar for so damn long. Like, I mean, we've seen clips of people doing slides with like giant dinner plates on their hands and like old Pal Peralta videos, but I mean, I guess just like skateboarding was progressing in like the aerial technical way, and staying on the ground was just like not cool or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool when you learn the history too. I mean, I'm not an expert, but those Brazilian dudes have been doing that style of like downhill slide. I think it's like the 80s or 90s. Like it feels super recent. I mean, even like I'm talking about seeing Sergio's part in like the early 2000s, and it seemed so like new and cutting edge then, but they had already been doing it for a long time. I don't know. Yeah, that Brazilian style downhill slide is super sick.
This week's episode of Can't Kickflip podcast is sponsored by Bonus Run Wheel Co. Bonus Run Wheel Co. is a new wheel manufacturer based out of San Diego, California, building fun wheels that leave thin lines and won't break the bank. They've also got a new wheel called the UAV. This big, plush wheel is a smooth, sliding, predictable wheel that can tackle all the heinous descents you throw at it, and also make a corner session way too much fun. The way that you can support the podcast this week is by entering the raffle. Bonus Run is giving away a set of wheels, and you can enter your name in the hat and support the podcast at the same time by sending $10 for one raffle ticket or $20 for 3 raffle tickets via PayPal to virtualslidejam@gmail.com. Thanks, Bonus Run, for supporting the podcast. Now back to the show with Brian Peck. Like, what was it that hooked people like yourself?
It was, for me, it was the community. It was like the community, going to events, starting to like travel and feel like I was seeing the world. Like I was still pretty young, but I started going to like these slalom races when I was like 14, 15, something like that, just going on weekends to, like I wasn't going far. We'd just drive to, Vermont, the next state, or drive a couple states away, go meet some dudes who are skating, slalom, go camping for the weekend. I thought that was cool. Then I got hooked up when I started doing the downhill slide thing a bunch. I got hooked up with the Earthwing skateboard guys. They were like my first sponsor. And so then I had like a year or two where I'd take the train from Connecticut into New York City and go skate with like those guys. They do like a Friday night rip. They called it like a weekly session where they'd meet up. And my older brother who kind of got me into longboarding originally, he was going to college in New York at the time. So I'd like go into the city, go visit my brother. I could crash with him, see him, go see my Earthwing homies. And this is when I was like maybe 16, 17 at this point. So I was still pretty young. And it felt like I was just starting to see the world, just like travel, go new places, meet new people, do it all through the lens of skateboarding. And I never really had like a hobby or anything that got me that excited to like do the thing. Like skating was super sick to me, but then also all the people I was meeting, the characters, just the way I was experiencing life, I was like, this is really awesome. This is cool. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, that's pretty young to start traveling like that. 16.
Your mother must have been worried sick about you.
She was cool. My mom's cool as shit. She was like intentional with like letting me kind of go do my thing, and yeah, I don't know. I'm super grateful that she was cool with that.
That's tight.
Nice, dude.
So did you ever do like a Broadway bomb back then, or is this pre-Broadway bomb?
I must have. I don't remember the years, but I definitely did like Central Park Race, Broadway Bomb a couple times early like mid to late 2000s for sure.
What are we talking about in terms of like attendance back then?
It was huge. So those were the first events that I went to, and I was like, because there would be like hundreds of people. Because when you're in a city like New York, like the word for those kind of events would just spread, and it was basically like anyone who has a board, come on out and cruise.
Hell yeah.
Like what's it called, the bike thing, when everyone gets together on bikes just to like take over.
Critical mass.
Yeah, critical mass, just like that term. It was like, okay, if we get enough people on skateboards, like we can just take over these extremely busy routes in like one of the busiest cities in America. It's fun.
I mean, yeah, I feel like New York for skating is probably like one of the only places you could get that kind of situation going down. Maybe Toronto.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did the board meeting in Toronto once, and it was a similar feel. The funny thing about Canada is like I remember bike cops showed up, and I was like ready for them to like start yelling at us, and they were like, "Hey guys, if you wait here for a sec, we'll go ahead to the next intersection and we'll shut it down for you, all right?" And I was like,
yeah.
I think that was after there were all those clips too of, you remember the Broadway bomb when all the cops showed up and they started like trying to like wrangle everyone together with the like orange fences. I think it was like a year or two after that. I was doing the one in Toronto, the board meeting, and the cops showed up and they were all nice. I was like, this is so Canadian. The cops show up.
That's amazing.
Like, let us help you. We'll shut down the intersection for you.
Cop corkers. Good guy cop corker.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, the word corker is a bike term for a biker who closed down an intersection by putting their body in front of cars.
That's awesome. I like that.
Always say thank you, corker, when you're passing. So you got in touch with Earthwing and were riding for them, huh? That's cool. Did you ride the was the Slide A's your shit?
Yeah, exactly. That was like before, I feel like before I had a wheel where I was like, whoa, this is so grippy, this is so sick. I had like the Earthwing Slide A, and I was like, oh my God, this wheel is so smooth and slippery. Like, what is this? How do you even yeah, I don't know. I love the Slide A's. I figured out early too. I was super anal with like, I'd do the facing, I'd face my hangers and then use like really good spacers, bearing spacers from like the slalom days. I got all super heady on like cranking down my axle nuts as tight as I could so there was no play, and then the Slide A's would be like even more slidey and like silent and stealthy. I thought that was super sick. Just you couldn't even tell if your board was like rolling and gripping or if it was like sliding sideways. It was just butter.
We got a guest question here from Anthony. Let's play it up here.
Sick.
Send it.
So when did you meet Anthony?
Like 2006. He threw like a outlaw race on Silverfish and in like Virginia, and the scene was so small that a bunch of us drove from like Connecticut and New York to Virginia. And Anthony was the one who threw that little outlaw.
How'd you guys hear about that on Silverfish?
Silverfish longboarding.
I mean, I've known Brian a long time. Most people know him probably from skate house days and working in Paris. But I know Brian back from Silverfish days when I'm pretty sure he gave me the tutorial in a private message on how to do a one-handed like toe side pendy back in the day. And when he was doing the like lay down knee slide, no hand tech slide action. My question though is, hoping you could go on about the original NC free ride, and I think it was spring 2007 that Dubes put on. And we stayed at Ned's relative's house, and I think me, you, and Alex Newton maybe snuck off away from Justin's dad that night. But yeah, man, hope you're doing great, and yeah, love to hear the podcast.
Heck yeah. Anthony's the man.
Thanks, everybody.
So wait, Dubes was in North Carolina back then, huh?
Dubes was in Florida.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty good chronological order. Yeah, so me and Anthony did some outlaw thing, organized on Silverfish. I think it was like 2005 or 6, probably 2006, and a bunch of us went. And that was when, like, I think before that it was just a bunch of us chatting on. So we just knew each other through Silverfish, and then once Anthony did this outlaw thing, a bunch of us, like, we camped out. It was like a whole weekend. We met. We were like, okay, cool. These dudes are like, they're on the same page. We're all similar in age. We're like willing to, go on a road trip, meet up in these spots states away. Like, these dudes are sick. Yeah, they want to skate. Let's keep skating. I want to skate with these guys more. Yeah, then I think Dubes was talking about something on Silverfish. He was like, I know some spots in North Carolina. There's some cool roads out there. We should all meet up in like North Carolina. I'm pretty sure Dubes was the one who came up with it. Anyway, a bunch of us, same thing, just random kids on Silverfish, end up meeting up in North Carolina. And dude, that session was crazy. That was like the first time we ended up finding sections of like numbered highways. Like technically they're like country highways, but we were skating like group bombs, like a couple of us in leathers, tucking, like trailer trucks are coming up in the oncoming lane. It was my first time doing like what I would call like big mountain bombs, like real downhill. Because again, coming from Connecticut, I was getting into bombing hills at that point, and I was like trying to do the tuck in long, but like there aren't hills longer than like a half mile or like 3/4 of a mile in Connecticut. Everything's pretty short. So yeah, we just had this like free ride meetup thing that brought us to North Carolina. And I mean, the hills are still like, compared to what people are skating today, it's like garbage. No one would like skate the hills we were skating then, but at the time it was just like the most amazing stuff we'd ever seen.
Well, that's cool that you guys like weren't, going crazy and trying to push it down like the stupidest hill you could find. Like like today is definitely like where that's at.
Yeah, I mean, it still wasn't even like, it's hard to describe what things were like then. They were just like, there wasn't media, you know what I mean? Like, you weren't watching clips of dudes better than you shredding and being like, oh man, what is that hill? I can't wait to be that good. We were just like, we just kind of figuring it out. I just remember it was the days like I had my leathers, but it was the first leather suit I ever got off like eBay. It fit like, we all had our like garbage eBay motorcycle leathers that fit like crap, but we were all just so stoked. All our tucks were like so bad. It's just like bend over at the waist, stick your arms behind you, like, all right, your arrow.
Who was winning these races? Who was doing the best?
Oh, there was this kid. So it's funny you asked. There's this kid named Dane. I'm blanking on his last name. He was like another Silverfish kid. I think he was from Virginia. While we were just doing the like bend at your waist thing, he figured out the tuck. Like it wasn't dialed, but he was like, hey guys, check this out. I put my knee like on my other calf and I can get like twice as low. And he was like flying by us on that trip. We were all like, what the hell did this Dane kid figure out? Like, he's so fast. I remember that happening, and we were all kind of like, dude, he was ahead of his time with that. He sort of like figured out how to tuck before any of us realized what the hell was going on.
Dangerous.
But we weren't really racing too. It was more just like, it was the first time all of us were like doing group bombs, with like 5 of us just like skating downhill. We were just stoked to have people to be skating close with. Then I remember one day it was like raining, so we found a hill that was just steep and straight, and we were just like, let's do slides. Like, That was probably one of the first times I took my downhill board. Was like, all right, let me go try to like rip some slides.
Oh, Brian, are you talking about Daniel Fismer?
No, so it's even before his time. No, it's this kid. I can't remember his last name. Anthony would know, but I know Fizz too.
Yeah, because I'm trying to trace back to all the names in Northern Virginia back in like 2010 era, like Anthony Fliss, Daniel Fismer,
Yeah,
Ty Weaver, those boys back in the day.
Or like Anthony and his thing. He was talking about Justin. I don't even remember Justin's last name, but there's this dude Justin who was like early on. He was one of Anthony's homies from the same area. Yeah, there was a good crew from that like Northern Virginia zone for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, because the person you described, I'm like, who is this guy talking about? Because anything before 2010, you're going right past me, bud.
Yeah, it's early. Like I don't even have photos or like video clips from these sessions. I'm trying to like remember the dude. I remember first names. I can see their faces, but I mean, Anthony probably remembers the dude Dane's last name. I'm blanking on it.
This is like flip phone, video camera era.
Like
Probably.
not even like
Before that,
like
no
like,
camera, no phone.
still like digital, like handy cam. Gotta like then transfer like tape to the computer to then go edit like
Firewire shit. Yeah.
To then be editing in like 240p.
Yes. You can't see anything.
Exactly. It was like effort back. I was just trying to skate. I was not like really doing the media then for sure.
But I think having that community and going on trips, hanging out, that will definitely get one hooked. That's how I got hooked. So
yeah.
After that, what spawned the move to the West Coast?
So after that North Carolina trip, me, Dubes, Alex Newton, and then there was this other dude, Chris Tyler. We were like super hooked after that North Carolina thing, and we were like, yo, let's go on another trip. Like, where can we go next? And that's when we decided, the four of us were like, let's go to Vancouver, dude. There's this race, Danger Bay. Like, let's go check out this Danger Bay thing. And I'd been talking to K-Rhymes. So me and K-Rhymes were homies on Silverfish too, actually, at that point. And then I did another trip. So this is another kind of ode to my mom. My mom was so cool. She, I think it was like my junior year in high school. She was cool with me, like taking a week off of school to like fly to Vancouver just to go like skate the Vancouver hills with K-Rhymes and go to Danger Bay for like my first, I think that was my first downhill race. No, before that there were races even before that, but she was cool with me just going to Canada with these like random dudes I knew off the internet just to go skate.
Dude,
Did you go to Major Stokeham?
No, so that was like, I think once I decided I wanted to move to the West Coast and then I moved to California was then when like Stokeham started happening back on the East Coast after I left.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you think that like the East Coast kind of blew up after you left? Like, do you regret leaving?
I didn't regret leaving because all of a sudden I was like in.
Right.
LA.
You're in,
so there's
LA.
There's a whole bunch of kind of like chapters in between too that I feel like I'm sort of glossing over. Like, let me think. So even before I moved to California, so I went on the trip to Vancouver, went to Danger Bay, and was like, oh my God, what is this place? So that was my first time. We went to like, I don't remember if we skated Seymour or Cypress. Anyway, it was my first time in Vancouver. Is my first time skating hills that are just downhill for like 10 miles. It's just like, you're just tucking for like way too long. And you're like, holy crap. Like, I remember going to Mary Hill my first time and realizing like, okay, so if I'm practicing on these hills that are like a half mile long and then Mary Hill's like 2.2 miles long and my legs I'm dead. I can't even tuck that long because I don't have a hill to practice on that long. But then these dudes from Canada are showing up and like they're practicing on hills that are like 5 miles long and they're just tucking the whole time. They're like, it's easy for them. I'm like, I need to go somewhere where the hills you can train on are longer than the hills you're racing. Because this like going to Connecticut to skate little hills, it's not working for me. I'm showing up to the races and I'm winded. I don't got the legs. My legs are done. So then I started plotting. I was like, man, I need to go live somewhere where the hills are big for sure. And then that kind of lined up with me finishing high school. My mom was like, all right, you gotta go to school. You gotta go to college. You gotta do something in school. And I was like, man, I don't know what I want. All I know is I want to keep skating. I just want to go skating. So I was like, well, if I got to go to school somewhere, maybe I can use that as a reason to go to like school in Vancouver, but really then just be in Vancouver skating with all the homies. So that turned into a whole thing. That was my sort of like move away from home for the first time. I moved to Vancouver, kind of didn't go to class or take school as seriously as I should have, because once I was there, I was like, heck yeah, I'm in Vancouver, time to go skating. Did that for like a year, a semester or two. And then I started to get old enough where I was like, okay, I can't be spending money to like go to school to then just skip school and go skateboarding. Like if the skateboarding thing's something I want to do, I should probably like, well, hey, I'm not Canadian, so I can't live in Vancouver. So I was like, maybe I should just try this thing out. Maybe I should just move to California. I'm young. I'm 18 or 19, whatever it is. I was like, now's the time to go try to do this skateboarding thing. Like what I always told myself was like, I can go back to school if I'm 30 or 25 or whatever it is, but you can't really like go try to be a downhill skateboarder when you're like 30. I mean, I guess you could, but it just made all the sense in my mind, at least, to like, it's like, well, let me go somewhere. I think also at this time, I started to like, this is when like Louis and James were starting to do the like loaded O-Tang thing. I knew they like had a place in LA, and I started realizing like, oh, there's dudes just like doing this. It's a thing you can do. I want to figure that out. I want to skate full time. That's all I can think about.
And you knew the people, you knew the players at this time, so you kind of had that in.
Yeah, I think like one year I was finishing up my classes at the end of the semester in Vancouver, and I was like, okay, before I go back to the East Coast, let me like do some skating out here. And I think me and K Rhymes did was we flew from Vancouver down to like LA. We met up with Jimmy Flint. I met this dude, Jimmy Flint, for the first time. He picked us up from the airport. We went and skated GMR. It was my first time skating like GMR.
Sick.
I think we met up with like Andrew Mercado, and I did like a Mercado van sesh.
Oh, God.
I think that trip was the first time I went to Tuna, maybe. We might have done like a GMR in the Mercado van in the morning and then drive to like Malibu and skate Tuna in the afternoon.
That sounds like a good day.
And then we did a road trip with Mercado in his van and a bunch of dudes to Ditch Slap. Yeah, it was my first time going to Ditch Slap. And then after that, I like was like, okay, that's my like stint on the West Coast. Time to go back to Connecticut and be like be home for the summer from school. And I think going home after that was when I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to just keep doing it. It felt like I had two different lives. When I go back to Connecticut, I was just like, I'm trapped. It's like, it's so boring. It's my hometown. The hills are small. All I want to be doing is skating. I was like, I need to go back to California or the West Coast and just like go do this skating thing out there. I didn't know how to make it happen. I was just chatting with random people, throwing it out there. And yeah, Dubler had, I think, graduated college recently, and he was like, I don't want to be here for the winter. He's like, I was thinking of moving somewhere or doing something cool. I don't remember exactly how it happened. I think he was just like, I'm down to move somewhere. And I was like, I don't even remember like talking to James or Louis or what, but I was like, oh, I know some guys in LA. We could probably just go live with them. I don't remember if it was like that. I don't know. I was like 18, 19. My memories, I'm like, yeah, I just decided I was going to move to LA and just hit Louis up like, hey, bro, I'm going to come live in your living room. And everyone was just like, cool with it.
There must have been some sort of conversation that led to that, because that Seems like
There
pretty
had to.
outlandish.
There had to. I mean, everyone was kind of on the same page. I think Dubes was living with them too. It was like Dubes, Louie, and James, and they were just trying to skate full time. Everyone was just trying to skate, and I was like, "Hey, me and my buddy Max want to move out there. Can we come?" I think I might have prefaced it as like, "Can we just come stay with you guys for like a couple months and like kind of figure it out?" And they're just like, "Yeah, come figure it out."
Sick. So
Dubler had his little the Scion, his little like toaster. I don't know if you remember his little square car. He was like, "I got this car. We can drive across country in it." And I was like, "Sick! I know some guys that we can stay with on the way. Let's go do it."
Hell yeah. So how was that like that move across the country? Like that must have been pretty intense. But I mean, you're young. You got smooth brain back then. You're probably like just jamming the whole time, right?
It was sick. We played like Connect the Dots. I knew I had a couple like skate homies we could visit. There was like an outlaw in like Pennsylvania that we went to first. So we drove like south down to Pennsylvania. I think actually I won that outlaw. It's one of the few races I've ever won. I'm not good at winning races, but it was like a downhill outlaw. I won that. I remember being like, this is a sign. I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. I decided to move to the West Coast. We go to this outlaw and I won it. Yeah. Then where do we go? I don't know. Yeah, we were just like jumping across the states. We ended up staying with Zach Madem in Colorado. I already knew Zach through like slalom and stuff. And I will definitely claim being the responsible one who like introduced Max to Zach and like created that whole Venom dynamic. I mean, I can't take credit for anything they've done, but I'll take credit for introducing the two of them.
Yeah, they've done some good shit together. Staying
in Boulder with Zach. Yeah. And then, dude, I just remember once we got to LA, it was on. That was just the start of everything.
Yeah. So back then we're talking like, you pretty much have like the downhill grip and rip situation down. But the technique of sliding and pre-drifting was kind of like blowing up at the time. Was that kind of already in development when you showed up at Louis and James's doorstep, or were you kind of partly in on that situation as well, trying to progress and learn that style of skating?
I'd say that started like right around then, maybe like a year or two before. I always remember like K-Rhymes being pretty early on. Like I remember chatting with K-Rhymes on Silverfish, and then we used to like instant message on like MSN Messenger and stuff, and we would talk about we would just instant message and talk about skating technique and like trying to figure out pre-drifts and like tucking and like super nerdy stuff like that. But yeah, definitely when I was doing the whole like Vancouver, then like skating in SoCal and then like deciding I wanted to move to SoCal, that totally overlapped with like K-Rhymes, James, Louis figuring out and dialing in the like, oh man, these wheels, you can like grip pretty hard. You can like poke out a little slide to kill speed as you come into this corner and then just like rip through the corner, gripping again. I mean, those guys were always faster, and I think they had more of like the need for speed. Like I never had the instinct like, man, I need to figure this out so I can be the fastest dude going down the hill right now. But I remember watching those guys kind of figure it out, and I was like, that's a sick technique. I need to figure that out.
Is there like a particular group of people or peoples that you like would skate with more because of their like style, having like a similar speed to you, or want to skate similar hills? Or was it just kind of like everyone's on for the ride, going wherever, skating however you can to make it down the hill?
Yeah, I'd say usually the vibe was we just try to keep the sessions compact. You know, if you could have like 4 or 5 dudes leaving the house in like one car,
okay,
that was ideal. And then we'd sort of like jump from hill to hill. You know, like maybe we'd go to the hill that was like super fast or super tech, and if I wasn't really feeling that, I would be like, yeah, I'll drive this one. Like if you guys want to go get tech or whatever, go do that. But usually the vibe in the skate house days was like mostly just sessioning tuna, honestly. Like once we got into that vibe of like hitting tuna, is mostly just kind of like hitting as many runs of tuna in a day. It's a perfect like practice ground for the pre-drifts because it's like it's steep. You're pretty much coming into most of the corners faster than you want to. And just the lack of cars, like, oh, if I go wide or slide out, there's still stuff to deal with. There's all the rock walls and cliffs and trees and stuff, but like at least you're not going under the front of someone's bumper.
Was it like a pretty big learning curve for you to be able to like get to the point of like getting better at tuna when you're skating it? Like how long?
Tuna always kind of scared. Yeah, I was never like I'll drop, the like K Rhymes, Louis, James names all day because like I was there and they're my homies, but like I was never like leading fucking any of those dudes into the corners on the fastest part of tuna. Like I was definitely like back of the pack and proud. I always liked skating back of the pack because I was like, I'll just watch all these dudes kill it. And then I liked kind of, especially open roads, if we weren't on tuna and there were cars, I like watching the dudes in front of me react to the sketchy situation. And then I have time to react. I never liked being front of the pack, knowing there's guys right behind me. That always freaked me out and would be like, I'd get in my head and slide out or do some dumb shit.
Yeah, you guys kind of like helped invent that style of skating, like the pack riding.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like James and Louis are just like that era. Then there was like that one summer where they showed up for the Euro tour with like the Otangs were like new. They'd been skating a shitload and they were kind of like, we're gonna go to these races and just like pre-drift everything. Like there was a year where it was like no foot brake. That was the whole thing. Like all the Euro dudes were still trying to like foot brake heavy into corners and have that perfect style. And then like James and Louis just showed up like sliding all over the place. Yeah, it was again, I wasn't racing. I've never done the Euro tour. I was not like that dude showing up to the races, pushing it, but I was just like there watching James and Louis do that and was like, hell yeah, these dudes are killing it. They're doing that because of our sessions at Tuna. Like I was just stoked to be involved in the train, having the training ground of Malibu be like where I was at. I was stoked on that. I didn't need to go race, chase points in Europe and shit.
Did you feel like watching all of this stuff go down, like did you feel the want or need to like start filming and recording it?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, this should be documented. I was never the dude who's like, oh, I'm the camera guy. I need to film this. I love editing. I'm going to be the guy who films it all. But I remember being like, when I was younger, I was always looking for videos of dudes better than me. Because in Connecticut, I didn't have a lot of guys to skate with. So I was like, if I can find video or clips, or like I was saying, the Gravity Flow video was like so inspirational to me that I loved having footage of dudes ripping to watch, and you'd be like, how is he doing that? That's so sick. I need to go do that. Like before I had a crew to get psyched on skating with, I would like watch videos of dudes ripping and get psyched on skating. So that was always, I always wanted to kind of pass that on when I see people ripping. Yeah. Or like you go to Tuna and you're like, this hill's amazing. This is beautiful. And then all of a sudden, yeah, you see James and Louis rip down like a foot from each other doing these stand-up slides. You're like, someone should film that and put that on the internet. Like more people need to see this. This is sick.
Yeah, that I feel like it was like almost like a burden to be there in those situations and like not have the like camera, because you're like, this needs to be documented and there's no one here documenting this right now.
It was another like right place, right time thing too, where then like GoPros came out, and because James and Louis were working for Loaded, I think like Louis came home one day with like 2 brand new GoPros being like, check these things out. Like we just got hooked up with these at Loaded. And, like the GoPro on the strap on your helmet, like made filming videos like effortless. All of a sudden you just click the button and all the cool shit you're doing, all the crazy stuff that happens on a run. now we got footage of it and we can like chop it up, make some cool videos.
Yeah, and where did you guys start posting before Skatehouse Media? Like, was it all Silverfish?
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember a couple times, like, yeah, there was like a videos sub forum or whatever on Silverfish, and I remember going out there, post. I remember we had like a few videos, and I'd be like, where should I go post these to share? I want other people to see these. And then I remember one day kind of being like, rather than us going out and figuring out, should we go on Silverfish? Should we go here? Where should we post these videos? I was like, I know how to make websites. I was kind of like a nerdy computer kid my whole life. I was like, we could make our own website, and instead of us having to put these videos out and go find where to put them, I was like, we should get people coming to us to come watch our videos. That's what I want. I just sort of spearheaded the website thing. I was like, yo, guys, I can like make us a blog. I was basically like, I can make us a blog. I think the first thing I did was like Tumblr was cool then. And I was like, oh, I could make like just a little blog on Tumblr that's just like Skatehouse Media or whatever. And we just post just videos, you know. I think the barracks was cool then too. We were really hyped on the barracks. The fact that they were posting regularly, we were like, oh, you wake up and they're like, there's a new, and they had those themes too, right? It was like First Try Friday, or like they had those little things where throughout the week you're like, oh, I'm psyched to go check out this new barracks video. I was like, we could do something like that if we got these dudes, we're all here, we're getting all this footage. Like, we should do something like that where we're putting out videos like regularly.
And did that feel like did it feel like it started out as like just organic and like not really going to be anything, or was there some sort of like, oh, this can be something, like, let's try?
Yeah, no, it sounds pretty like cliche, but it came together in the best way possible, where it just sort of kept falling into place. You know, it was like, at first it was just like, oh, I want to be in SoCal. Then it was like, Dubler's like, hey, we could probably make this happen. Then all of a sudden we're in SoCal, we're skating a bunch, we're getting clips. Another thing was like, Dubler had his fancy digital SLR that he was taking photos with, but it was also one of the first digital SLRs that could get video. So I think we started shooting, like, we weren't doing the onboard cam with his camera because it was super expensive, but we'd get like the GoPro clips, we'd get the like digital SLR footage. Remember early on, like the first time the digital SLRs were getting footage, you were like, whoa, you can zoom in and get that super crisp like depth of field. It was like a whole new level to like video quality, and we were like, this is cool. We can get these epic HD clips, we can mix them in with GoPro. But yeah, no one was really like, oh, if we start this website now, we can monetize it, or we could put banners up and make money. We were just like, all we do is skate. All we want to do is skate. We're getting these clips. Let's edit videos, and we should put it out there so people can see. That was like all we really wanted to do when we started Skatehouse.
That's good to hear. That's kind of like the beginning of like artistic expression through camera work from like your everyday like Joe Schmo. Like before that, it was all just like dad cam, VX and shit.
Yeah.
But that being said, like there was also, you know, like a very enriched culture of skateboarding and filming, like street style in LA. So
Yeah.
like, how did that knowledge of like how famous LA was for filming skateboarding kind of factor into making it your own and doing it?
It was cool just being around it. Like I was saying, the schoolyard clips from like Dogtown and Z-Boys had like a real big early influence on. I was just like, what are these banks? These dudes are just like surfing up and down, looking all styly. And then I want to say in the first like year I lived in LA, we like went to one of the schoolyards on a weekend and like skated the banks. I was just like,
hell yeah,
this is so sick. I remember like watching this, and now I'm here. Or I have a memory, I think I was driving with Dubler or some guys. We were somewhere in Hollywood. We come to a stoplight and I look over and I'm just like, wait, that's the car wash. That's Sunset Car Wash. I'm like, I know the clip of Gon's like Gons is like the best skater ever. I know that clip where he like eats shit and like slides across his face trying to like roll in on that. Like I wasn't even super into street. Or I didn't feel knowledgeable, but I was like, I know that spot. And you just start seeing all these famous spots, or even if they're not famous spots, just driving around LA, you're like,
dude,
there's just banks and there's just rounded like I remember Dubler was more like educational and kind of like heady about it, where he's like, no wonder skateboarding was created here. It's like everyone was already surfing, and then just like look at all this architecture. It's just pavement and concrete and like round flowing architecture in front of buildings that's like perfect to skate, that just looks like a wave. It's like no wonder they figured all this shit out here. It's meant for it. Coming from Connecticut, where you're like, yeah, everything's like lumpy, or like the curbs are made out of like granite, and it's like all of a sudden I see like a red curb, and I'm like, oh, you can actually like do a slappy and grind on it. It's painted red. It's like the wax built in. It's like everything just starts clicking, and you're like, oh, every curb cut is shaped like a kicker ramp. Like no wonder dudes figured out how to ollie. Like,
dude. This week's episode of Can't Kickflip is brought to you by Bonus Run Skate. Bonus Run is a wheel company made out of San Diego, California, offering some premium secret sauce wheels like the Showers and the new Miles Webb Edition UAVs. These wheels are made to feel in the pave while still giving you that supreme buttery slide that cheat wheels are known for. You can get these wheels on bonusrunshop.com. We're giving away a set of wheels with Bonus Run. You can enter the raffle by sending $10 or $20 to virtualslidejam@gmail.com via PayPal to get yourself one raffle ticket for 10 or 3 raffle tickets for 20. Win a set of wheels and help support the podcast. Thanks again, Bonus Run. Now back to the show. We've got a guest question here. We're gonna play here. It's from Dustin Hampton.
Oh, Dusty.
What up, Brian? This is Dusty. Heard you're going to be doing a Lombo podcast and you wanted me to float some questions your way. So here I am, fresh out of the shower with my mirror skate shades and some skateboards in the background to look cool. Let's get into it. I just wanted you to share with the people your perspective and your memories of what was happening during the shift from gripping and ripping to slipping. Like that era where people were really pushing the pre-drift and the art of sliding and kicking it sideways, contrary to laying down a meaty foot brake and just gripping turns. When did that shift happen? Do you remember the people that were really like on that cutting edge? Like who were the people that inspired you and inspired others? Who were the pioneers of the day of the pre-drift and the slide? I would love to hear that. And just kind of like hear your memories and your thoughts of what was going on. And and also there was a specific skate session that I'm not sure if you remember, but for me, I had a big aha moment that changed the way that I skated and looked at other roads. It was my first time ever skating Santa Barbara. I get dragged out there by a friend. I link up with like you and the other skate house dudes, and that specific day, it was really foggy. There was like, I could only see like 20 feet in front of me. We're on the top of these like super big, like remote mountain roads up in Santa Barbara, and there's like no double yellow, no guardrail with like a cliff on the side, and just like super foggy. So I made the decision to not skate, and I got in the car, and I just remember looking out the windshield and seeing you and James and Louie just doing stand-up 180 to switch, stand-up 180, back to regular. And you're just doing 180, 180, 180, taking it super casual and just like taking your time, getting down this hill, just doing stand-up slides. And it was my first time seeing people like tackle an open road like that, just doing stand-up 180s. And it changed the way that I looked at downhill skating, and I realized like, oh shit, like if you can do a stand-up 180 and then go back to regular, and you can do that confidently, you can skate almost any road. And it was super inspirational, and it was cool to see. So I also just want to know if you remember that session and if you could shed some light on that Santa Barbara session. Was it your first time skating Santa Barbara? I'm not sure. Also, Dr. Pepper or root beer? The people want to know. I want to know. And yeah, let's surf soon. Let's hang out. Love you, buddy.
Dr. Pepper all day, first off.
Good answer.
If Dr. Pepper's not available, I'll take a root beer for sure, but Dr. P.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Dusty.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot there. Let me try to unpack that and not get too sidetracked. Yeah, so the start, he was talking about going from the grip and rip to the slide. And like I was saying earlier, when I first listened to his video asking that question, I was like, my first thought was it brought me back, to the early days where it was like, specifically, I was either trying to, ride the slalom board, grip and rip, or I was on the slide board intentionally just spinning all over the place. There was no blending. The only times you'd like slide your soft wheels, it was like usually an accident, and then you'd eat shit. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think K-Ron was like the first dude to be like, I'm gonna do a pre-drift. I don't know, maybe he was, but he was the first dude who kind of explained it to me. Was like, yeah, you can scrub speed, as you enter the corner, and then grip up and then hook through the corner. And I was like, that's crazy. When I moved to the LA days, that was when, James, Louis, and Kevin, I feel like they were like intentionally trying to figure out the pre-drift thing. They were like, how can I go as fast as possible into this corner, do a perfectly executed slide to kill like just the right amount of speed, hook back up, go through the corner, maximum exit speed. I gotta give shout outs to Pat Switzer too. I feel like they had that early O-Tang team. Like definitely the O-Tangs coming out was some of the first like sharp-lipped, grippy wheels that people would throw on their downhill board. And you could also, like, even if they were brand new, go rip a slide, and it was, like, pretty predictable, The O-Tangs were sort of that first, like, race wheel that you could also rip you could trust them for grip, but you could also trust that the slide would be predictable. So I feel like there's a lot of overlap there of, like, around that time when I moved to LA was also when like O-Tang was coming out and blowing up. I'm sure you guys are familiar with like there's those early videos, like Adam Colton was making the O-Tang vids of like James, Louis, Kevin, and Pat Switzer like ripping. Gotta give a tip of the hat to like those vids in that era. I think once I started figuring out drifting the soft wheels, especially with like the drop boards with like nice soft round lip wheels where it really just made like slides just easy. I started really loving the whole like free ride thing. I think because I never had that go fast instinct. I was like, these dudes are in race mode. They're trying to like be in leathers, scrub speed, race through the corner. I was like, I kind of like just going walking, like above walking speed, ripping power slides, sort of like what Dusty's saying too, the whole like 180 back to switch. I definitely remember that session. That was my first time skating in Santa Barbara. Those hills were super intimidating. And
dude, especially in the death mist or like the fucking aquamarine layer.
Yeah, I remember being up on Gibraltar my first time, and they'd had a fire like recent enough that everything was still coated in ash. I remember we'd do slides, and I'd look at my glove, and there was like ash all over my puck. And come from the East Coast, it was my first time seeing like you could look over the edge of Gibraltar, and all the trees you saw were just like charred and burnt. And I was like, this is crazy. This feels like I'm in a episode of Planet Earth or something. Like I'd never seen burnt nature on that scale. And now I'm like, not only am I looking at this nature that's kind of confusing, but it's like, all right, time to skate this crazy road from the peak all the way down to the ocean down there. So it was a wild experience.
What Was that the same time as like ECC sessions were going off, or was ECC after Gibraltar?
Yeah, so it was like this session when I was skating there. I think it was a lot of our first times in Santa Barbara. I think this was still like a couple years before like Max Myers was like at school at UCSB and those regular sessions started.
Yeah,
Um,
because I remember Gibraltar. My first time skating, it was terrible because the pavement was just like space pavement, destroyed, dilapidated.
yeah.
Was that the case when you guys were skating it too, or was it better?
No, I remember being super rough. Like SMR was like perfect then back in the day, but all those ones like above SMR that went up to like that ridge line, I think because ECC was still pretty fresh actually. I feel like ECC was nice then, but yeah, because they get that like death mist, they actually kind of get that weather up there. The roads up high enough get pretty chunky there. So the session he's specifically talking about, I think Adam Colton was the one who organized it, or he had like found out about a couple of those hills through like a friend or through like biking forums or something like that, and he wanted to go check them out. And I remember it was like a really interesting crew. I think the session Dusty's talking about might have even been before I moved to LA. It might have been when I was like visiting one of those trips, like I was saying, when I was in Vancouver, I'd like kind of go do some skating in LA before I had to go back to the East Coast. It might have been one of those sessions in like 2008 or 9, something like that. I think it was like kind of like a loaded session that Adam Colton wanted to get together. Dusty was there. I remember Jimmy Flint was there. Dubes was there. I think this dude MGR Maxim, who rode for Loaded and Otang back in the day. I don't even know if you guys remember him. He was there. It was a ragtag crew.
Hectic. There were just kind of like a mix match hodgepodge of people at every session, or did you guys kind of take a while to get like your crew locked in?
It was.
I imagine there's a lot of visitors coming in, so you're always kind of having to like be wary of who you're skating with because you don't know how to skate.
This specific session was like I'm saying, I think it was pre-skate house, so it was still when there were just only so many. There weren't that many people in LA, so the vibe was almost like trying to get as many people together as possible because there was kind of so few of us. But definitely, like you're saying, once we had the house and the guests were like regularly there, I remember ended up in the hills with just like huge crews of like mostly visitors, and I'd be like, man, I don't skate with any of these people regularly. I need to be careful with all these out of towners on our hills.
Yeah, so was Dusty there kind of like in the beginning when you got there as well?
Yeah, Dusty's a mega OG because he grew up in like Camarillo, which is like not super close to Malibu, but like pretty much outside Malibu. And so, yeah, I have memories early on. We would like show up as like, even before we were like the skate house dudes, we would just like show up as our crew to go skate Malibu. And like Dusty would be there skating tuna with like his homie Pete Eubank, and this other dude like Steve Doman were some early dudes. Like I thought of Dustin as like a local. He was always at the Malibu Hills, and I knew he was from the area. And I was like, I'm from Connecticut, man. This dude's a local. He's like, he grew up here. He's an OG. This is his home turf.
Yeah, that's actually something I'm interested in knowing. Like before the skate house crew came in and kind of started like, their era of influence in LA, like what was the scene like there prior to that? Like were people already skating downhill like at that level? I mean, what do you know about it?
I mean, it was pretty small. It was like, yeah, James and Louie moved to LA to work for Loaded specifically, and that's why they got the like apartment that we all like originally moved into. Then Dubes ended up moving. I think he was kind of on the same. He just wanted to skate. He knew like LA had sick road. We were all kind of on the same program. Like once you decided I want to figure the skate thing out, it was like, I think I should go to LA. They don't have winter. They got these roads. But it was small. It was a small scene. Like when I showed up, yeah, it was like James, Louis, Dubes, Dustin, Pete, and Steve, and then like Mercado would have crews that would come to the Malibu Hills on the weekends to ride, but they were kind of coming from like more inland LA. Like there weren't that many locals. Like I said, I considered like Dusty a local because he was like from the area, but there weren't that many. There weren't that many dudes. There was a couple. There was like this dude Tai Nakayama. There was just only a handful. There was just like 5 dudes early on skating. There weren't that many.
Okay, so let's go to some more guest questions here. We actually have some guest questions from K Rhymes.
Oh shit!
His first question is, whose nickname came first, K Rhymes or B Peck?
Ooh, good question.
I don't know. So I remember before K Rhymes was K Rhymes on Silverfish, his account name was Crank the Speed, which I feel like that's just sort of a testament to, like I keep saying, is like I never had that instinct of like I need to go fast, I need to be racer guy. Like when you realize that K Rhymes, when he was like 15 or 16 or whatever, just starting out, and he was like, all right, I need this username for fucking Silverfish. What should my name be? He was like, hell yeah, Crank the Speed. Like he had that instinct, man. That guy wanted to be fast. He wanted to be first. So yeah, I don't know. I remember when he was Crank the Speed. I don't know if Stryker started calling him K Rhymes or what. I don't know. Like, because my older brother, like our hometown friends, like totally unrelated to skating, is like I'm B Peck and my brother is C Peck because he's Chris. So like my like hometown friends would call me B Peck as like a sort of a nickname, like pre longboarding, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I can't really like date when I became known as like B Peck in the longboard thing.
Did you introduce yourself to people as B Peck in the longboard world, or that kind of just
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
connect?
I'm not like a this is my sick nickname that you should call me kind of guy.
Yeah, for sure. So it just kind of came around then? Came back around?
Yes, I don't know.
All right, next guest question he's got. What's the dumbest crash of your downhill career?
Dumbest crash. Oh man. I had a few. So is a common theme. I keep being like, I'm not really good at racing. I don't like going fast. I remember like when I was going to school in Vancouver, I was kind of convinced I should be racer guy, and I'd go to a couple of the like outlaws. They had such a big scene out there. I'd go to these races. We'd have like a huge crew. There were at least 2 or 3 races that like my first heat, just kicking off the line, I would just like kick my wheel and just like eat shit. Cause I would just always get the butterflies. Like I kind of hated racing, honestly. Like looking back on it now, like I did not like it. I'd be on the line, I'd be getting these butterflies, and I try to tell myself like, yeah, butterflies, this is gonna help me like win. And then I just like kick my wheel and eat shit. So I don't know, maybe one of those. Probably pretty stupid.
All right, next question. What do you think of Patrick Switzer?
Wow, Karen's trying to start fights here.
Here we go. Round one.
I like Switzer. Me and Pat Switzer actually go way back. We met at like slalom races, like the early, like I was saying, the like New England slalom races that I was going to when I was like 14, 15. The like Ontario, Quebec fools had like a really big slalom scene too. And so I met Switzer at one of the races in Canada, maybe in like 2006 or something when I was like 16. I don't know. Patrick's solid. I haven't really kept in touch with him. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but yeah, he was one of the early guys I met through slalom. It was cool seeing him go from slalom to downhill. Not a lot of dudes would do that. Like shout outs to Pat and Zach Madem also. Like usually the 2 spheres, there wasn't a ton of overlap. Like I started with slalom, and it was usually a bunch of like older dudes, kind of like later in their skate career, you kind of stick with like just slalom. But then, yeah, you meet guys like Patrick. There are a couple other Ontario dudes I'll shout out. There's this dude, Luke Mello, and his homie, Justin Reddings. They were like young slalom dudes who then also like grew up into downhill guys. Were killing it at downhill too. So shout outs to them.
Shout out Luke. He was DJing at Park City Downhill this year.
Sick.
How did it kind of start being more like integrated of like the style of skateboarding that was like slide jam, like ramps at slide hills? Like where did that kind of happen and start? Was that, do you feel like that was like an LA thing or a California thing, or was that kind of further out in other areas?
I don't know. I would say I give credit to like sector probably. I feel like once like slide jams started happening like in San Diego and like the Sector 9 like bread truck would show up with like quarter pipes and launch ramps and stuff. I feel like that definitely had an influence. Yeah, I don't know. Me and K Rhymes had this era when I was in Vancouver where we got really into early grabs on our downhill boards, and we were just like trying to hop off like curb cuts or any little like hump we'd see on downhill runs. We were just like launching little early grabs, and
Sick.
I'm definitely not gonna claim that like that led to fucking slide jams or like dudes shredding or anything like that, but I just always thought, yeah, catching air on a downhill board was cool. And then I don't know, I feel like Comet probably helped, like the Comet, the skate jams we do, and like Anthony helped out a lot building crazy ramps as like the months would lead up to the Comet skate jam. I know Anthony would always be going crazy coming up with ideas for like features and stuff like that for the skate jam.
Was this in Oakland or Ithaca?
So I'm thinking like Ithaca stuff, which is like
Okay.
later Comet, not super early Comet.
Got it. Yeah, because I know you rode for Comet, and I wanted to kind of ask you, when did that start? Like, when did you get on Comet? How'd you get hooked up with them?
That was sort of later in my skate career, if you will.
Because you were on Rain too, right? For a little bit.
Yes, I rode for like Earthwing when I was young. That was sort of like not that it like wasn't super serious, but it was like Earthwing was super cool. They hooked me up with the slide boards and the slide wheels. Then as I got more into like downhill, I was like, yeah, I want to do the downhill thing. Then I got hooked up with Rain. That was super cool. The Rain boards were like super high quality at that point. Then after a while, I started sort of realizing, yeah, like I'm not really a racing guy. I was on Rain when like Kevin was skating for Rain, winning all the races, and like I just sort of felt like the vibe on Rain was like racing, doing well, and I was starting to go to races a lot less, go to events like that less, and I was like, yeah, my skating's kind of slowing down. I broke my ankle at one point then too, which like really kind of it made like downhill tough for me after that. After I fucked up my ankle, it made like tucking weird. So after that, I was really like, man, I'm just kind of skating super slow downhill, just doing power slides. I was having more fun going to skate parks at that point, and I was like, I kind of like this vibe of Comet, man. Like, they're not taking themselves too serious when it comes to downhill. Most of the dudes are just kind of hanging out in the park or like riding these double kickboards down hills, doing ollies. And it was sort of another one of those, like, I was kind of already hanging out with a bunch of those guys at the time as my skating sort of shifted more towards that style. I think we did a couple of the Skates Giving trips. The first year or two I was on Rain, and then I was like, man, the Skates Giving thing was kind of like a Comet was sort of sponsoring the trip. I was like, I really like what Comet's got going on here. They got their big old van that they just keep giving to Anthony to do trips with. I was like, I think I want to try to get on Comet. This vibe seems up my alley.
Dude, Anthony, was he kind of like OG Comet rider when they moved to Ithaca?
Yeah, so I think he like moved to Ithaca there was a good chunk of time where he was like basically running Comet. He was like brand manager, team manager. He was like running the wood shop and like actually pressing the boards. Yeah, Anthony basically like was Comet for a good couple years there.
Cool. So this is Skates Giving. Tell us a little bit about Skates Giving and how it kind of came into fruition. Because it happened for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, so it was like it was sort of a trip that I want to say like Pat Shep and Matt Kay and a couple like East Coast dudes just sort of did smaller scale versions of this just more organically on their own. Just like, yeah, we're on the East Coast. Like fall's a perfect time to skate the East Coast because like the temps start to chill out. You get all the leaves, like you can see in the video, it's just like that beautiful autumn vibe. But also once the leaves start falling like this, a lot of the runs you can spot like through the trees a lot more. They become like a lot more visible. So I think maybe it was like Matt Kay who originally had the idea. I could be wrong. It could have been a group effort.
This park looks sick.
This is Woodward. We got to go to Woodward one year.
Woodward East?
Woodward, Pennsylvania. We had the place to ourselves. Dude, we skated the mini mega ramp. We skated the like indoor parks they had. We skated this crazy snake run. It was insane.
That is a hookup of a lifetime right there.
Yeah, shout outs to McLovin. So McLovin was also like Comet kind of like team manager for a minute, and he helped organize a bunch of this stuff too. I think he just like cold emailed Woodward and was just like, hey, we're skateboarders, we got this trip planned, is it cool if we come by and say what up? And they're like, yeah, sure.
That's sick.
Yeah, you can see they got like the whole like vert ramp in the back down there and stuff.
Who edited and filmed this? Do you remember?
Mostly Matt Kay. I want to say Matt Kay spearheaded a bunch of the skates giving trips. He came up with like the idea of like, all right, let's make this a trip where like dudes come out, their sponsors kind of help sponsor the trip. He would have like a plan for at least a couple episodes like lined up.
Oh, cool. So he was like kind of doing the whole greener pastures thing.
Yeah, and then I want to say too, because we did it a bunch of years in a row, we definitely like freeballed it a bit more the first time, and then I think as we did it more and more, Matt was really good at the like filming, editing episodes, like seeing the value in like being consistent in filming and editing, and so he definitely a tip of the hat to Matt Kay for being like, yeah, we should do the Skates Giving trip. Like he was getting the sponsors involved, trying to get it paid for, all that good stuff.
Wow. Yeah, Matt Kay, you can definitely tell which edits he does on Skatehouse Media. He's always got like the super weird intros.
Yeah, hidden pentagrams. Yeah, like funny clips in the TV. There's that like special Matt Kay flair for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I just really like this video because it was like just the fact that it's kind of like a East Coast corner session at the beginning, just like really good vibes. That whenever I think of Skates Giving, I think of that video. I was like, that's pretty much Skates Giving in a nutshell. Leaves, skate parks, fall, ripping.
So you're living in LA. At this point in time, were you working for any like skateboard company? Like, how are you surviving in LA at the time?
I just got really good at being broke. Honestly, yeah, I'm like, that was my technique of like, oh, I'm gonna be a professional skateboarder. Wasn't like, let me figure out how to like actually support myself and like make money doing this. It was like, let me figure out how to live off as little money as possible.
What are we talking? What's the cheddar bisque? We talking like food stamps? Like,
that was a bit later. I mean, honestly, I don't even remember. I think I would hustle. I would try to get my sponsors to like send me gear if they could, and then I would like do the buy sell trade thing. Like Rain or whoever would be like, "Oh, we don't really have money for you, but we can like send you a bunch of boards if you want." And I'd be like, "Cool, I'll like ride the boards and sell the ones I don't need." Yeah, honestly, I don't even really remember. I feel like I was just eating like McDonald's like once a day and somehow surviving. I don't even know.
Jesus Christ.
It's so bad.
That's hard, dude. That's hard.
Yeah.
Got to take advantage of that McValue menu.
Yeah, exactly. Back when like the dollar menu like still existed.
Exactly. Get a McDouble and a McChicken.
Were you
a McGangbang?
Were you getting fed by the housemates or the guests who came in?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to stay here? Buy me something to eat.
Honestly, my hustle was like, if I would just get like stoned enough, I wouldn't have to worry about eating meals. And then if we had a bunch of guests in town, the hustle was also like I was the local. You wanted to be like the local with the weed recs. You're like, oh, I can go to the dispensary for you guys if you need. Hook me up. Maybe like buy me a couple grams of weed or like this edible or something. I can go to the store for you guys and like buy all the weed for your crew. So I would like do the dispensary run for the out of town guys and like get hooked up with a bunch of weed through that. And then you're like, sweet man, I got free weed to hold me over for a couple days. And the move was always trying to get like five dudes in a car, then you just go like split on $20 worth of gas and it's like a couple bucks each. And
that's crazy. That's crazy. You made it work in LA of all places, thinking about how expensive it is now.
I mean, we also had like I was saying to you, Kurt, earlier on text, like the early skate house days before we even had the house, we had like an apartment with like multiple dudes just living in the living room. Like there was a point where me and Dubler just had like sheets hanging from the ceiling, and those were like my walls in the living room. I just had a bed in the corner of the living room with sheets around it, basically. And it was like, I want to say I was paying like $150 or like $200 like rent to just stay in the living room, basically, and just go skate all day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 18, 19, 20 doing that in LA, you're probably fine.
Yeah, it'd be like the middle of winter, and I was like, man, everyone out. It's snowed in Connecticut. Like, screw that. I'm out here just skating. This is what I want to do.
Nice.
Okay, so tell us about when you got hooked up with Paris.
Yeah, so Paris, definitely shout outs to Dubes. Dubes was like the first guy to get hooked up with Paris. I think he just like emailed the dude one day being like, yo, I'm skating downhill on these trucks. Check out what I can do. You guys should hook me up. So Dubes got hooked up with this dude, Joey. Joey Pulsifer is the guy who started Paris, who came up with the trucks originally. So Dubes got sponsored early on. Dubes kind of carved his way into getting involved. Dubes was like team manager for a bit, and when he was involved, that was when I sort of got on the team. I always really liked the vibe of Paris just being these like simple, I mean, when I was in slalom, I got super into the gearhead, the expensive trucks, the fancy trucks, the this and that. And then after a while, I was like, man, I really like how Paris are just these simple trucks. You go skate downhill on them. Everyone thinks of them as these like cruisy, carvy trucks, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of coincided with my like later years when I finally started realizing like, yeah, I'm not really a racer. I'm not a go fast guy. I kind of like just cruising and ripping slides and trying to be styly. Yeah. So then I think Dubes ended up deciding he was gonna. I think he moved on to Timeship. He was gonna like be running the brand Timeship, and so they needed someone to do like Paris team manager stuff, and I think he recommended me to Joey, and I was like, heck yeah, I'll be down to kind of figure out what that job entails for Paris for sure.
Was that a figure out when to go on trips and where to go on trips kind of job, or is that more so just like getting riders the stuff they needed?
Yeah, at first, I don't remember if I started with the social media, or I think I started with social media. Yeah, my main like titles was like social media manager and team manager, and the team managing stuff was less like planning trips, booking trips for people. It was more like I would go down to the warehouse regularly, and if team riders needed gear, I'd be like packing up boxes to ship out. Then with the social media, I was just like posting on Instagram and Facebook a lot, and then doing like giveaways. It was still pretty like early social media. I feel like when doing like, oh, repost this for a giveaway, it was still like really hot. So I was just doing stuff like that, trying to get people to just like interact on the Instagram, like and comment, stuff like that.
Damn, you got to go to Hawaii. What island is this?
This is all on Oahu.
Okay.
Was
this back when like Casey was living there And James,
Dude,
is
this
living
was
there in the winter?
early. This was like 2012. No, just me and Matt Kay just flew out for a trip. We knew we wanted to film a video for Paris. Basically, we got like tickets from Paris, and we went out to Oahu for 2 weeks, and we didn't really have like a set plan. I was just like, all right, I just want to just kind of like free ride. I knew I didn't want to worry again. I didn't want to worry about racing or events or anything like that. I was like, I just want to go to Oahu, see these hills, just kind of cruise and figure out my own thing. Me and Matt like rented scooters a bunch of days. Like these clips, you'll see some scooters in random clips. We like just took a couple days cruising the island on scooters. I was like, I'll film you from the scooter, and then we can like take a run. You film me from the scooter. Just fun shit like that. Check it out.
How did you like? What'd you say?
I was gonna say we hit skate parks too. We got to chill with like Daryl Freeman a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, super sick.
Who were you kind of like? Were you guys kind of doing your own thing, or did you guys have like a host showing you around and stuff?
Yeah, we chilled with Mackenzie for a couple days. Mackenzie Yoshida put us up, and then we were chilling with Ethan Lau. Ethan had like a basement spot at the time, and then we met up with a bunch of locals. Like, who did we meet up with? Kaimana. I think a couple clips ago was this dude Ben Field, I think was his name. He was like a local dude I didn't really know about till I met him on that trip. Oh, this ditch was sick. We went with Nico. Dude, Nico Kamanuai showed us this ditch was sick. I was stoked on this clip getting the boneless. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was sick. Yeah, then we went to Wallows. I was gonna say this is Wallows, the like super famous OG ditch spot on Oahu. Yeah, that trip was sick. I haven't been back to. I only went to Hawaii this one time. We filmed this video. I had like the sickest time ever. I was like, oh man, I love Hawaii. I want to fucking come back here all the time. And then I haven't been back for whatever reason.
It's tough to get there.
Yeah, eating lychee. There's all this like fruit I didn't even like know existed before I went there. I was like, this shit is so good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what were your thoughts on like the roads in Hawaii and the style there, and was the community kind of like just kind of being birthed?
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of dudes. There's a bunch of dudes that I was like, man, the crew out here's like bigger than I thought. I was like, why haven't I like heard of you guys? Like, why aren't y'all like coming to the events? And then I remember like 2 days later being like, it's fucking paradise out here. Like, why? If I lived in Hawaii, I would not go to events on the mainland. I would never leave here. Like,
Right.
I wonder I haven't like met most of you guys before. I totally get it. Yeah, everyone was sick. They had a solid scene for sure. There was like way more skaters than I thought. I was intimidated by how narrow the roads were. Like anytime we were trying to actually do downhill and go faster, I was like, the lanes are super narrow. There's like no like curbs or white lines or anything. It's just like the pavement ends, and then there's like jungle, and usually the trees are kind of like hanging over the road, making it feel even narrower.
Tubed.
Okay,
so this next video, tell us a little bit about this situation here. This is the Paris Family Sessions video.
This one's classic. Yeah, this one's like pretty later on. The cool thing with Paris, so Paris was like under the umbrella of Resource Distribution, like you mentioned earlier. It was like Resource, sort of like the umbrella brand. Underneath them were Riviera Skateboards, Paris Trucks, and Divine Wheels. I rode for Divine a little bit early on, but mostly I was just associated with Paris. But the fact that there were like the three companies under the one umbrella with Resource, like Resource was doing pretty well. The dudes who started Resource kind of came from the street skating background, and so they really understood the skateboard industry and like how to run brands and like be profitable. And so they just kind of had that classic like street skater vibe of like, all right, let's get everyone in the van and let's go out and let's just skate all day and get clips. Like Resource had a van. we'd plan these film days. That was one of my favorite things as team manager Paris. I got to do sort of like these film days where you get a bunch of riders together. We had a dude, Andrew Parker, who was like our sort of filmer editor at Resource, which was really nice because we could I could film a bunch of clips, get a bunch of footage, and then I wouldn't have to worry about sorting it or editing it. I could just hand off the memory card to this dude, Andrew, and it was his like full-time job to then sort it, edit it. And so all these clips are basically like a collection of a bunch of random clips we didn't really use from the like random film days. And yeah, you just called it family sessions. It's basically just like all the folks involved in the crew just kind of getting their own random clips of all of us skating together. Yeah, so all the homies in this video are like good homies, good memories from these film days.
Yeah, wow. So at this point in your like, oof, that hurts. In your skateboarding career, like, how many years into like LA life are we? Like, was it pretty quick early on, or did it take a while to kind of get on to the Paris? Like,
Yeah, no, this is like a good couple years in. It's like 4 or 5 years deep, maybe. And then even for a little bit, I ended up moving down to Long Beach when I was working for Paris, because Paris is down in Costa Mesa, which is like basically Orange County, like a little south of LA. And so I started having these responsibilities where I needed to go into the warehouse, pack boxes for riders and stuff like that. So I actually ended up moving out of Skate House, and Pat Shep at the time, shout out to Pat Shep, he was working for like Land Yachts, and we ended up moving out of Skate House. We got a spot in Long Beach for a couple months. And so this was almost like I don't know if I'd say like post Skate House, because Skate House was still like happening, was still a thing, but it was like almost late enough on where I was like, yeah, it was when I moved out of Skate House and started like, I don't know if I'd say like moving on. I wasn't like, oh, I'm over downhill, I'm over this. But this was definitely like later on in things for me.
Well, yeah, because like Skate House, I feel like if you look back at like the timeline of Skate House, there's like the GoPro film every session kind of like vibe, and then it becomes like, let's let people who aren't even from Malibu have their like video parts on here, and it's definitely gone through like an evolution,
Yeah, there's like chapters. Yeah, then you can see I'd say there's like the early days, then there's like the visitors. We started figuring out sort of the themes, like, oh, visitors, trick tip, this clip. Then I feel like we started monetizing, and then you probably start seeing like company logos and stuff in there. And then we got to that like real polished, there's like that polished era, like you were saying, when Matt Kay had those edits, just like the funny clips in the TV and I don't know, just the really quality edits, like hidden. Matt Kay would always have the hidden things in the background.
Well, at a certain point, like I think Skate House became like a news, like almost like a news broadcasting, like who's shredding, what events are happening. Like it wasn't just LA, is what I mean. It was like, Venom started getting in there, Sector 9, like Canadian events, Land Yachts, Arbor, like.
Yeah, we were trying to like cover all the events. We were trying to give shout outs to all the brands that were involved doing good stuff for sure.
Were you guys like going to these events on your own dime, or were you guys getting helped to go there and cover it?
I think it really depended on each event. A lot of the times it would just be like someone from Skate House is going to this event kind of personally on their own trip or with their own personal sponsor, and they end up like getting clips. There was a couple times there was like a Giant's Head where we like made a deal with the organizers where like they were really juiced to get like a Giant's Head Skate House edit, so they like invited the whole crew out. I think they were like, you guys don't need to worry about entry fee. They just like wanted the whole crew to be there, sort of in exchange for an edit, which was really cool. But that wasn't super common. We weren't necessarily getting like like no one was getting like flown to an event to like specifically film it for Skate House. I don't think that ever happened or anything like that.
Makes sense. Paris lasted a little while, and then you got onto Comet, and at that point in the game, like skating was kind of at like an all time. Like we were talking about Ithaca Skate Jam earlier. Yeah, what was your experience at Ithaca? I mean, it's not every day you get to see like a downhill skate park with so many people.
Yeah, Ithaca. There was a couple years in a row there where like the skate jam was super sick. I remember just looking forward to it every year. It was a really fun like family thing, just being involved with the Comet team when we were doing the events. Like we'd get the whole crew to come out and we'd all stay at Jason's house, the owner. We'd all come out like a few days in advance. We'd all be like building ramps and doing stuff like this. It just totally felt like a family reunion kind of crossed with a skate event, because it was just such like a team effort organizing the event and making it happen. Like I just have so many good memories. We'd be in the warehouse a couple days before building ramps, then even just like loading up the U-Hauls with like the ramps and the food and all the stuff, just making the events happen. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, like anytime you're involved in the back end of like making an event happen, it's like super rewarding. And
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Ask Rob when it comes to Skate the Cape.
yeah.
Totally, yeah. No, this was one of my favorite events, Ithaca. I do have a couple questions. One, do you know why they like had to change hills, kind of in between their tenure up in Ithaca, and like how many people were behind the scenes making this event happen?
So I don't know exactly why, because I think there were like 3 hills in total that we did it on over the years. I don't know if it was like an issue with permits or what, or if they just wanted to like switch it up and bring it to different locations each year. Yeah, and then as far as like behind the scenes, there was always like way more people than I like knew or expected, because there was always like there's the skate aspect. Like I was saying, the crew, we'd be building ramps, we'd be thinking about, what obstacles do we want? We should do this, we should do that. But then like Jason's wife, Katie, was also always like super involved. There were always like local dudes. Oh man, I'm blanking on this one dude's name, but there was this local dude who would always like DJ. He would always help out. Dude, the bales were insane. There were some crazy bales on the hill. I always remember just being super stoked too, because it was like coming back to the East Coast, where like I was saying early on, I left the East Coast because it felt like the scene was like too small and I needed to go to the West Coast to like be where the skaters were. But then to come back years later and be involved with Comet and help put this on, and you see how many people, like A, there were tons of skaters, B, the town of Ithaca loved it. All the college kids and the people who lived on the road would come out. The families would come out and chill. And it was like, man, I just remember thinking like, I wish this was happening. Yeah, when I lived on the East Coast, and then maybe I wouldn't have felt like I had to move all the way across the country to have like a group of people to skate with. But
I have another question. That event was really unique too. It wasn't a competition; it was just a free ride event.
yeah,
Do you have any insight on why they did that? Like there was no competition; it was just a day of slide jam, basically.
yeah, that was intentional. I don't know if it was Jason at Comet or who, but like, yeah, whenever people would call it like, we always intentionally tried to call it like it wasn't like a slide jam. We want it to be the skate jam. We didn't want it to be like a slide contest, or like that language was intentional. I think the point was always just to get people out and skating. We didn't want it to be like you gotta be the fastest, you gotta be the best. I think we did a couple we did a big air thing once this year. I remember watching people just like die off the big ramp. We might have done like a long slide for like a little bit of competition, but we didn't want the focus to be like, you need to come out and be number one. That was always sort of a big underlying theme with Comet too, is like, we don't make race boards for just like number one racer dude. We make double kicks for chilling in the park and doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we
That-
need more of that energy. With
And it was one of those events that brought together like street trick deck riders with longboarders too, and it was like we were all riding the same stuff together and kind of seeing how like the longboards how they ride the hill and can do the ramps, and then how the street deck riders would do it. Obviously, saw that one sick back 180 melon grab was on the kid on the street deck. Like,
Oh yeah.
not many longboarders are going to do that, so that was really cool to kind of see the different approaches to riding those hills, and we were all together. We were all friends.
Community. That's what it's all about.
I love the idea of like just a jam with no competition involved. Like that's always been what gets me fired up. Like no really like winners, you know?
Yeah, just vibe. Like I like when you see people like vibing off each other, and it like almost it's not competition, but when you see people kind of like one upping each other like for fun, like that's some of my favorite stuff in skating. When you're just sessioning with your buddies, you see someone land something, you're like, oh, I want to try that, or oh, that
Yep.
makes me think of something else.
Dude, that's why the slider sessions were always so fire, because it was just like we'd stop and lurk at a spot and people would start trying stuff and you're just like, oh, okay, I gotta throw down on this thing.
Yeah, just one upping each other, having fun.
It was nice as a rider, that event too, because you're just like, I get to ride all day. There's not going to be any like sit down and watch. So that was cool.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Everyone
right, the
had
whole-
the thing where you pay like $200 to go to a race, and then you're out first round, and you're like, wait,
yeah.
that's it? You're like, that's so much money. That's it. I came here to skate.
And you're right, the whole town was behind it, because driving out of there one time, we got pulled over by a cop, and we were after smoking some pot, but he totally let us go. He was like, he saw the skateboard. He's like, oh, you guys are at that Ithaca event? He's like, that was really cool. Like, have a nice day. It's like,
That's
holy shit.
I think
That
like
never happened.
the mayor came out a couple times, or like I think
Yeah.
Jason was like cool. It's such a small town. Like Jason knows the mayor. Yeah, it was a sick vibe. It's pretty unique out there for sure.
Why don't they still do it?
I don't. Well, so a big thing was like the last year that we did it, Jason was like losing warehouse space, or he had like paid to store all the ramps for like the year prior, and that was like becoming an issue. And the last year we did it, we ended up having this big bonfire in his backyard where we just like burned a bunch of the ramps. And Jason was like, he was like, man, I was super worried. I didn't know what we were gonna do. He like had this whole experience. He's like, I don't think you guys realize like how important this was for me. So like, I think a big issue was just like when Comet was doing well, there was like the warehouse that was Comet. Like, were you there the year that like there was the indoor bowl at the warehouse too?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, so like the later like year or two, Comet even had enough warehouse space where like Jason had this indoor bowl we were skating, and so I think it just got to the point where like Comet was getting smaller. It was taking a whole lot of like resources just to put the event on, and I think it just sort of naturally sort of waned. You know, people were probably getting tired of putting in all that effort to throw it for the last 4 or 5 years or however long it went on. It just sort of moved on and did its thing.
It's always a bummer when you don't see like the next generation pick up the reins and try to keep something going, though, especially in downhill. Like our experience is like a really big, solid community is so short. And looking back on it, it's like, damn, I wish someone would have like, kept the fire lit and done something to like keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. There's those certain events that like bring everyone together that are like super important.
Yeah. And we're at a time where like certain events might not even happen anymore. And it's like, damn, where am I going to go? Like, how am I going to see all my friends at one place? That's like one of the benefits.
Need that new event, need something new.
Yeah. So, you had a little stint in SF for a while, or you might have just been coming up there and visiting, but yeah, you made a little part for Comet here. We'll throw it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you living in SF for a bit, Brian, or were you just kind of hanging out?
No, I was just so this video is from pretty early. I think I even came out from the East Coast when I filmed this one. But yeah, no, I never lived in SF. There was a point in the skate house days when I was cruising up there a bunch. Especially when when the slider shack was kind of going off, and it sort of had those vibes similar to skate house where you knew you could kind of just like show up whenever and there'd be a bunch of other people there skating.
Yeah, it's cool. There was like that outpost, not only like one skate house in California, but kind of two.
Yeah. The funny thing is my brother, who the one who kind of got me into longboarding, he ended up like marrying a gal who's from San Francisco, and now they live in the city. They bought a house there. They have 2 kids. So,
Wow, doing
but
pretty
I've
well
been
for
going up
himself.
there a bunch recently just for like family time. Like I'm gonna be going up there in a week to go see them for the holidays, but
Nice.
not really skate in the city as much as I used to. But it's just kind of cool seeing the same city sort of through those 2 eyes. It's like I used to go up and all I cared about was skating, just wanting to hit as many runs as possible. All I was doing was skating. And it's like now I go up and you can't not look at the hills through the eyes of a skater. But yeah, now when I go up to SF, it's mostly family time.
Yeah, it's like if you're going up there for family time, why would you be in the Sunset District? Unless they live out there, I guess.
Well, so they live in what's it called? Potrero Hill. And so you know how like the like modern sliders, there's sort of that like Bay Sessions, like new sliders crew.
Yeah.
One of their go-to hills is actually the hill my brother lives on.
Oh,
And
perfect.
so,
Yeah, Thursday nights, right?
yeah, exactly. So like there was one day my brother sent me a text and he's like filming out his window, like dudes coming down the hill, slide gloves, ripping slides. And he's like, yo, do you know these guys? And then like an hour later, I'm clicking through Instagram stories and on like Bay Sessions, it's like, like Keon and some other homies like at the top of the hill, like looking down, I can see like my brother's driveway and his car parked. And I'm like, this is a really funny like overlap of like skate life, personal life.
That is interesting.
And yeah, and then there's been times like, then they all kind of like my brother met Breet War, and now there's been times where like my brother will be walking his dog or like walking with his kids around the neighborhood, and he'll run into the crew of skaters, and everyone will say what up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you never know who was who.
I mean, the city's like small mileage wise. It's like it's not unlikely to cross paths with someone or run into someone.
Right. Well, let's chat a bit about your time on Paris as like a TM some more. You guys went out to Europe for a bit with like what seemed like the most bitchin' crew of all time. What part did you have in kind of like bringing the team together and like, because in this era, 2013, 2014, you guys had just some amazing riders in the team. Like it was like best of the best.
Yeah. So this stuff was like before I was TM at Paris.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. No, it's all good. This was just I was more focused on just being a rider. Let me think how this trip came about. Yeah, I think the guys at Resource really wanted to do a trip to Europe with the goal being like to connect with the locals in Europe, like real personal. We wanted to just like connect a whole bunch of different cities and not even have, specific events, just kind of like meetups, meet the locals, skate with the locals, check out their local spots. We were just in a van all together for like 3 weeks, I think, just driving.
Wow, 3 weeks.
From city to city.
What was Paris's like take on kind of like bringing downhillers and free riders on these trips? Like what like a lot of these spots look like, blend of street spots. Like a lot of the team is like a blend of street skaters and downhillers who can do both.
For sure. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, the dude Joey Pulsifer who started Paris, he's like a OG street guy from like the 2000s. So that's just kind of his background. And so like even though Paris is obviously like a longboard brand, they're longboard trucks, there's just sort of that that influence of like, I mean, Ari's a good example right here. Like Ari's not a street dude at all. Ari's like longboard through and through, but I don't know. There was just sort of that sort of flavor that the dudes from Paris were looking for, where like to be on the team, you either had to be able to like hang in the streets, not necessarily like street style. They weren't like, oh, we need street skaters for the Paris team. That's not a thing. But they wanted dudes who were like stylish. They wanted dudes who could hang on, you know, a board with kicktails, or you know, even someone like, I don't know, like Axel had some clips, Axel from Barcelona, or Ari. Like if you were a longboard dude through and through on Paris, we still wanted you to like have good style and like, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, also, just a big focus on this trip was like going to these cities and pushing around the downtown zone with the locals. So
That's
you
so
know,
rad.
it was awesome, dude. Just connecting with the locals that way was sick.
It seems like that's like a very tried and true like equation for skateboarding. It's like go skate with the locals, get people hyped on the brand because you're there skating with them, like
That's pretty much
demos and stuff.
that's pretty much what we did. We just would go to a city. We had some like meetup sort of thing organized, and all the locals would come out, and then we'd be like, "Yeah, show us the spot, take us to you." Wouldn't really know what we were getting into, but once you get the locals, a big crew together, we'd just be like, "Yeah, show us the spots, take us to your hills. We're here to skate. You guys are cool." And yeah, it all worked out. We went to some super cool spots. So these clips are in, I think, what's it, Brussels. They do like they call it Car Free Sunday, where they like shut down the whole city to cars, and
Yes.
everyone's it's just like pedestrians, people on bikes just walking around. And so I think they do it regularly on the Car Free Sunday. They go like take over this hill with the longboarders and just like rip some slides.
That's the perfect perfect place for a longboard community.
For sure.
Wow, this is like early lofty days, huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, Laffy's sick.
Yeah, it's awesome you guys got to go. Oh, fuck yeah, Laurent.
Yeah.
Dude is a legend. It's cool that you guys got to go like experience like these communities for sure. Like, and it's crazy to see how many people there were. Like,
Yeah, there were at each of the stops, there were definitely like way more people than I was expecting. Yeah, Cody killing it. Shout out to Cody Noble. This is a great clip.
oh, dude,
Oh,
it's right there, bro. Get it?
And it just disappears.
He just looks at it. Oh man,
Joey, that's the dude who started Paris. He's like, man, it's gone. He's just like, it's gone.
Like, I've seen that before. It's gone forever.
That's it.
So did this documentary ever come out, like the full length?
I don't think it ever did. It was like we had all these plans to do this like giant full length documentary, but didn't happen.
Damn, that would have been sick. It's never too late. I don't know where the footage is, but
Yeah, I don't know where the footage went. Yeah, and I was telling you too, there was like that video originally came out with 3 parts, and like somehow I have like part 1 and part 3 saved. I don't know what happened to part 2, and it's like not on the internet anymore, so I don't know if I'll ever see it.
dang, yeah, I want to know what happened. What
That's
was
why.
part 2?
That's another reason why I saved. Like I was telling you, I was looking up these like Paris and Comet videos and stuff, and I was like, all right, let me save these, back them up to my hard drive before they start disappearing too.
What was the part 2 of? Do you remember?
It was just like we did it chronologically because we went through all these cities, and so part 1 was just kind of like the first third, the first few cities, and then like I can't really remember.
It was Paris, right? Paris, like France and shit.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the cities. Yeah, it was just, I think it was just more of the same. A couple like meetups in a city, something like that.
I want to play part 1 because it has some super dope street skating in it. And
Yeah, that was when we were all like fresh off the plane fresh legs, start of the trip.
Where'd you guys start?
Amsterdam. We flew in and out of Amsterdam because like Sickboards was there. Like Sickboards had a good relationship with Resource, and so that was like we flew into Amsterdam. We met up with the Sickboards crew and like did a meetup thing, and then we just like left in the van, drove all around, and then looped back and ended at Amsterdam again.
Dude, that was an era. Comet, Paris, Sector 9. What a plug.
Cody got a bunch. Yeah, so like also you were saying kind of like the sort of the street focus of these clips are like we didn't really go out there planning on it, but I think what happened a lot of times is like you end up in these European cities that are like known for certain street spots, and then we had dudes like Cody or like so this dude skating here, Justin, he was the team or brand manager of Riviera, and he's another dude who's like from the street world in like the early 2000s, and so he's like the team manager of Riviera. He's not even like on the trip to be a skater, but we're like in Europe looking at all these dope spots, and he just like can't help himself but like skate and get tricks. So it was just a sick vibe of like, yeah, like we were in this empty building and Ari was like, man, look at this light. I want to do some like Ari boardwalking stuff. And we're like, sick, dude, let's get the clips while we're here.
Yeah, this is like you don't see videos like this anymore, at least from like longboarding companies, like just skate and explore stuff.
Everything, cruising in the city.
Yeah, and I feel like this is like what really kind of draws people to want to kind of maybe like explore the avenues of like downhill and longboarding, because like you can do it everything. Like you can be good at downhill and be good at street. Whereas like street skaters, they kind of just get locked in and focused in on like just the technical elements of it.
Yeah, or like I'd hope if you're a longboarder and you're watching this video, you'd be like, man, those street spots look pretty sick. Or if you're a street skater watching this video, you'd be like, oh man, that dude's pretty styly. Or like, oh, what are these like power slides they're doing? That's pretty sick too. Just like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, like I don't want to go skate outside because there's fucking no hills, but there might be this kind of spot. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah, like we were in the Netherlands for a little bit and we're like, yeah, there aren't many hills here. We got to hit some street spots, I guess, because there's not many hills.
Wow, Ari's ripping in this video.
Yeah, everyone was like skating really well on this trip too.
I'm probably so hyped.
It was a sick trip. It was like really good energy. Everyone was just like feeding off everyone else.
So around this time in your skateboarding career, what amount of like your skate travel was like related to cruising to spots with the homies and exploring, or was it more like, oh, the team's going here and I gotta be there for this trip and go film?
I don't know. Even when I was sort of like at my busiest or like doing the most stuff I was doing in longboarding, I feel like I was still like not moving as much as the big name dudes, if that makes sense. I don't know. I was always trying to like, I could only travel so much. I didn't have huge travel budgets, and then I was always like kind of burnt out at the end of a trip too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love trips, I love traveling, but I'm super introvert, and so usually after like a week or two of just being in a van with a bunch of dudes, I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to go like just chill by myself. Like some dudes are just able to, it seemed like some dudes would just be like, all right, I'm gonna connect this trip to that trip to that trip, and then like then I don't have to pay rent anywhere. I can just be on like couches and living in vans the whole time. And I was like, I need to go chill out for a month in between and chill out. And also I think like when I decided that my whole goal was like, I want to go to Southern California and like do it out there. Once I was in LA, that was super sick to me. I wasn't like, oh, now I need to leave here and go to Europe to go do this race or go do that. Is like my whole goal was just to be in SoCal where the sick hills and the dope weather was. that was good enough for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved going on trips. If Comet was like, hey, you want to go on this trip? Paris was like, hey, you want to go do this trip? I'd be like, sure. But I wasn't like, I need to be somewhere else every single month to do my skate travels. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. There's it seems like a lot of people are kind of traveling for racing as well. And those are probably the guys who are traveling more than everyone else.
And at that point was when I sort of realized was like, I'm not a racer guy. It gives me butterflies. I'm not going to go, even if it's my sponsor's money, I don't want to go spend $250 on an entry fee to, like I'm saying, go make it to round 2 and then be like, that's it. I got 3 runs today. Like,
right.
I picked up early on that like I would way rather spend $10-20 on a tank of gas and go skate runs all day with 5 homies in Malibu than spend $250 on an entry fee to get like 2 runs, you know?
You got this segment called Break That Trick.
Break that trick. It's where we ask our guests a trick or something that they're really good at in their skating, and we ask them to break it down for us. You ready?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to play this little intro video, and we'll get it going.
I hope it's not my trick tip. Oh, that's sick.
Break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that. Break that trick. Hope you enjoyed that little intro there.
What was that first clip? Some guy on like doing the e-board Happy Gilmore?
I think
so. I was at a golf fundraiser for my local skate park here, and one of the holes you skateboarded and you teed off. It's pretty fun.
Skate golf.
Skate golf, yeah. So yeah, this week's a little different. Looking at your videos, notice that you ride a lot with other people in close packs. So I'd love for you to break down how to ride in tight packs, and also for a 2-parter, how to show up to a new community and integrate yourself.
Great questions. So the first one, riding in packs. I was always super picky about like, it's got to be guys that I've skated with a lot for me to like feel comfortable skating close to them. And also certain roads, like just those big, like wide open bomber roads where you're just kind of like in your tuck holding it. Those are like my favorite to get like real close, where you're just like drafting guys, touching each other, you know, giving guys bump drafts, squeaking in and out. Like as soon as a road gets more technical and people are like throwing slides, that gets pretty hairy for me. I've been like skating in close proximity and end up like eating shit because someone else eats shit enough where like I end up being pretty picky with like who I want to skate close with. So usually it's just guys that I trust, guys I've skated with enough where I can look at their body language and tell either like they're comfortable, they're chilling, I got no worries, I got no reason to worry, we're good, versus like if you know someone well enough, you can see him even just like setting up for a slide or setting up for some movement that then you know, oh, he's about to start turning this way, or oh, I should give him a little bit more space. That's sort of what always worked well for me, I'd say.
Yeah, you hate to go down by someone else. Important to pick your crew.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I said, it happened enough times where like it's just part of the game, right? Like you can't be mad, but if you're skating close enough where like your wheels can rub, it's gonna happen at some point.
And then the second part of that is, how do you integrate yourself into like a new community? Because you've really traveled a lot of places, done events in different places. So yeah, how does somebody just show up somewhere and maybe find the local crew and also not step on any toes or blow up any spots?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like you can't go wrong with just like meeting up with figuring out who the locals are, meeting up with them and like showing them respect. You don't want to like go to a new spot or a new community, new location, and then just like kind of help yourself to the spot and just start sessioning it. Like, I don't know, just hang out with the locals and learn from them. You can learn, what spots are good to skate certain times, or like, I don't know. I say just connecting with the local community and just going to the sessions that they already got going on is pretty good.
Kind of sounds like surfing,
Yeah, it's like respect who's already, like, I feel like the times I moved like for skating, it was because I wanted to go to where that scene already was. So like I knew there were spots, I knew there were people. So it just made sense for me to like show up and, not act like I'm bigger, better. It's like these dudes already live here. They know the spots. I'm going to show up and like, I'm the young guy. Like now it's up to me to like learn their lessons, learn the lines, figure out why they do things a certain way in this spot. Like they've been here longer than me. They got to know for a reason.
For sure.
Nice. Respect gets respect.
Yeah. Don't drop in on the locals.
Hot takes is basically first thing that comes to mind. I'm going to ask you a question. First thing that pops into your head.
Cool.
All right, let's see what happens. First question. What is your best trick?
Best trick? The frontside rock and roll.
That is sick. What about best slide trick?
Backside shove it slide.
All right. Toe side or heel side slide?
Toe side.
Ramps or rails?
Ramps.
I don't think anyone said rails so far.
Yeah. I don't do, my joke is like the ramp is like, I can't do rails. I do coping with the ramp that just goes up to like the rail. You know what I mean? I'm not about to ollie onto a rail. I can ride the ramp to the coping. That's about it.
That's a different type of skateboarding, rail skating.
Yeah, not me.
Favorite skate trip food?
Favorite skate trip food? Kefir to keep your stomach regulated.
Wait, what? Kefir?
Yeah, it's like probiotic, like yogurt. It's like this yogurt smoothie kind of. And I remember like my stomach would always get jacked up once you're like 4 days in, just eating like McDonald's or whatever. I'd be like, all right, I need this probiotic yogurt to like fix my stomach.
Yeah, food starts looking a little bit more like medicine a couple days into a skate trip.
Oh yeah.
All right, do you crumple or roll your toilet paper?
Like fold in half kind of, so I guess kind of roll.
All right. Soft wheels or hard wheels?
85A.
I was going to say favorite Duro.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I don't know if that's my favorite. I just felt like saying something like in between hard and soft.
Okay, well, what's your favorite Duro?
It all depends. Depends on the surface.
Oh, shit. We're getting down the rabbit hole of a skate nerd.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Did y'all ever make a Skate House Media, like, skate nerd part about that exactly?
I made one about bearing spacers really early on. Dubler might have done one on like durometer.
Okay. Because I always remember it was fucking confusing for the whole like first 10 years of skating. I was just like, what?
Yeah, and then also with like the different formulas too. Like I feel like a 78A in one formula can be like way different than like 78A in a different formula too.
Oh, for sure. 86A orangutan exists. For sure.
Oh, we got Lucy making a guest appearance.
Howdy, howdy.
Lucy? Yeah.
She woke up from her nap.
She's stoked. Ride POW or ride a freshly paved road?
Freshly paved road.
All right. You going on a skate trip. Who's in the van?
What, these days? Like just right now? These days?
Sure.
Lucy's in the van.
All right. What about skaters?
Oh, geez. I don't know. How about it's just like it's a OG fucking Skate House Media sesh. It's me. It's Dubler. We got Louie and James. We got Matt Kay and we got Cody Noble.
Sounds fun. I would love to see that session now. What would happen?
Going
What would go
to
down?
Tuna Classic.
All right, most memorable event.
Most memorable event. Jeez. I don't know. There's not one just coming to mind. I don't know. I'm blanking. All of them. I love them all.
All right, do you listen to music when you skate?
No, it kind of freaks me out. If other people are listening to music, I avoid them at all costs.
Smart.
Yeah.
All right, surf, skate, or snowboard if you had to pick one.
These days, probably surf.
There you go. I want to skate. I want to learn to surf bad.
Good answer.
If you could skate with any skater, dead or alive, who would it be?
Any skater. Ooh, dead or alive. Jeff Grosso.
Hell yeah, that'd be fun. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Hawaii.
All right, is it longboarding or downhill skateboarding?
To quote Max Dubler, skateboard is a verb, longboard is a noun.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
I always like that one.
it is a good one. Longboarding. Is it a noun, a sport, a lifestyle, or an art?
It's a vibe, brah.
A vibe? Okay, is that lifestyle?
I think all. Wait, say the list again.
A sport, lifestyle, or an art?
All of the above.
All right, that's a good answer.
But it's like whatever you want it to be. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, it's all about your brain.
Hi, buddy. Hi.
Who would your ideal sponsor be who's not a longboard, that's not a longboard brand?
Probably like a health insurance company in America. Or like Red Bull. Yeah, that one dude got sponsored by Red Bull, right?
Diego, yeah.
It's the news of the year.
See, I'm still relevant. I go on Instagram. I thought that was sick.
What's the kookiest trend happening now?
In like longboarding or just in life?
How about start with longboarding?
I don't know. I'll forever hate on calling dancing. It's called boardwalking, in my opinion. I hate calling it dancing.
Okay.
It's pretty pedantic, but I'll die on that hill.
That's a hot
heard
take.
that one before. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Spicy. All right, who's the GOAT of longboarding?
The GOAT? Daryl Freeman.
Hell yeah, good answer. Well, right on, man. We're gonna wrap this up. Thanks for joining us. This has been super sick. Before we go, do you have any social media handles, or where can people follow you on your journey these days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram at Brian Peck. I don't really post much these days, but feel free to follow me or like scroll back to 2013 on my feed if you want to see some sick longboard photos.
Sick shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I'm not really too active on social media, but if anyone listens to this and wants to say what up, send me a DM on Instagram. I'll be like, oh, cool. You know who I am. Sick.
Any shout outs or acknowledgments?
Yeah, shout outs to my mom for being cool as shit and being like, yeah, you should go hang out with these dudes who you know through skateboarding and go camping this weekend. And you're 14 and they're all like grown men. That sounds like a great idea. Shout outs to them. And then I don't know, shout outs to the skate house dudes for sure. Just like moving to LA and just doing all that shit with those dudes early on definitely like shaped my life, shaped who I am. And those were some good times.
Hell yeah. Skate rat life.
Hell yeah.
Do you have any final messages to our listeners, or do you want to make notes on the evolution of your relationship with skateboarding and life? Or any lessons skateboarding have taught you?
You gotta walk before you can run. And I say that because, like, I don't know, I always used to see the clips of the kids who could, like, rip 100-foot stand-up slides, but they're just like flailing their arms the whole time. And it's like, bro, that's cool. You can slide, but like, I don't know, just like do some carves, like calm your arms down, like get some style, and then go slide 100 feet. Like, I don't know. Just I like looking at the progression of skateboarding as it happened. Like, you got to go cruise around your neighborhood before you start bombing hills, right? It's like,
For sure.
don't start with bombing hills. Don't start with 100-foot stand-up slides. Like, just go cruise. A dude, Joe Lem, who started time ship racing and the skate school in New Mexico, he like, when he teaches kids to skate, he like makes them ride a board with no kicktail and like pump around a bowl, because like that's what people did in the 70s before they figured out a kicktail and how to do a kick turn. So he's like, you should progress in the same way that skateboarding itself progressed. And I feel like there's kind of value in that. Like when I tried to start doing street stuff, I was never good, but like I switched to longboarding. I learned how to cruise. I got comfortable being on a skateboard, rolling, finding my balance. And then I started to pick up transition stuff later on. And it was like a lot easier once I had the basics. So I was like, oh, there's value in like starting small, starting with the basics and building on that, not just trying to be, ollie down the 10 set, or like grind a huge rail, or like slide 200 feet the first thing you do.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I think having like that whole Tony Hawk pro skater like influence back in the day, like really didn't do anybody any favors, like, oh, you can do a kickflip and a 720 air. Like,
yeah.
I've never been able to do a
skaters
720.
never like, all right, now we're gonna just go cruise and get our balance
No,
first.
dude. No, it's like, I want to go learn how to do fucking Christ
900.
airs.
Yeah, 900 off the roof for the school.
Yeah, better start kicking around your neighborhood. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us. It's been rad. It's always good.
That's a
Catching up.
podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me rant for 2.5 hours. Appreciate you guys.
Hell yeah. Yeah, if you felt the stoke, drop a follow, share it with your crew, and keep chasing that flow on and off board. Thanks for tuning in to Can't Kickflip Podcast. Support your local hills and support your local scene. Peace.
Peace.